All right, everybody, here we go. Today is Monday, July 6th, 2026. My name is Rob Carter. Welcome to the future. Number one radio/podcast in America. What's going on, Isaiah? How was your weekend? You got your volume off again. You're speaking into the abyss.
Oh, there we
There
go.
we go.
Sorry, just multitasking over here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was great. 250th anniversary of America. I did not blow off a finger. So that's
You
good.
mess with fireworks? Or are you somebody still shooting off
Oh
fireworks?
yeah. I mean, just some
No.
small ones for the kids. You know what I mean?
Good morning,
Ivy.
girl.
Yeah, Ivy loves the not the loud ones. She always says too loud, too loud, too loud. But she likes
She likes the pretty.
you shoot it up and the what is it called? The parachute comes down or something with the little army man, things like that, or sparklers or
That she
just
likes.
small things like that she likes to do. So it was fun. We went to Moe's Pizza. We sat there and watched the Washington City fireworks too. So we went to dinner at Moe's and then stayed in the parking lot and watched the fireworks from the
A lot of
parking
people there?
Yeah, lots of people. It was it was packed
Landmark
down
in
by the
Washington, Missouri.
Exactly. It was packed down by the riverfront, and then Moe's was getting to the end of closing. Everyone was leaving, and we were the only ones in the parking lot for a while. And then it got closer to the fireworks, and everyone started pulling into the parking lot, pulling in, getting their lawn chairs out, setting it up. So
Very nice.
that's what Mike told me would happen. He's like, "Oh, just wait. As soon as it gets right before the fireworks, people are going to be pulling in here like crazy."
Very nice.
Very fun. How about you?
Very nice. I relaxed all weekend. We went and had hung out with some friends, my wife's, and had barbecued and went to the pool and that kind of thing. Got a little sun on my face with a little dark hair, a little red.
We brought the St. Louis fireworks back under the arch. I don't know if you ever went to that back in the day. I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I went all the time. I used to love the VP Fair.
Yeah.
So I saw some of the video that came out with the fireworks in the arch. It was pretty wicked.
Yeah, lots of people there. I think everyone I knew went for one of the nights. Besides us, we don't like to go downtown.
These nights, one of these crazy old nights. Who sings that? That's the Eagles, Isaiah. You raised in a closet? What's going on?
Come on.
The Revolution will not be televised is the name of the show today. I want to talk about that just a bit. Great interview. Look, I did not know what to make of Candace Owens. I just watched an interview that she did, I think, Friday with Sean Ryan. I might be back on with Candace Owens because she said a lot of things. Well, basically everything, every opinion that she has, I share. And it's very interesting how these people come to the conclusions that we were making 5 years ago. But here we are. They're starting to get to the finish line. And maybe it just takes a lot of information. You absorb it. You start to contemplate it. And then it becomes real to you. That's where we're at. But I thought it was a great interview. Sean Ryan, who I don't know much about. Dr. Shiva was not so high on Sean Ryan. I don't know what he thinks of Candace Owens. But I got to tell you, the interview was really enlightening. We'll get to that Candace Owens interview with Sean Ryan here in just a bit. Want to get through some of the news of the day. We start with Donald Trump. He weighed in on FIFA, the World Cup. I guess he did not like a red card that was given to an American player. These are the things that aggravate me about Trump, because now if the USA were to win, you're going to have this controversy as to whether this person should have been out on a red card, which means they missed the following game. I don't think the president of the United States should even have the time to weigh in on a soccer match. But again, this is just me being critical. I think it's kind of silly. We got a lot of things going on in the world that he needs to pay attention to. Soccer is not one of them. But apparently,
it's a great injustice, he said.
It's just ridiculous. I mean, for me, at least, I didn't see the play. I just don't care at all about this FIFA World Cup soccer. I know a lot of people are into it.
It definitely was not. The thing is that it definitely was not warranted to be ejected from the game. If you know soccer and you know how red cards work and things like that. I know
soccer very well. My grandfather's in the Soccer Hall of Fame. I know it very well. What I do know about competitive sports is that when the officials make a
that's
decision,
the thing.
You can't weigh in after the fact and make them change the rules because you're the host country and you're the most powerful person in the world, or it makes the host country and the soccer team look like they are using their power to overcome the referees who may have made a bad call, but it's really not relevant to the story, in my opinion. But
what if Qatar, when they hosted the World Cup, right? What if
you imagine
the same thing?
Just any of the, you made Iran was in the Iran was hosting the World Cup, and they didn't like one of the calls, and they called on the officials to change the call and change the outcome of an event, a sporting event, because one of the political leaders got involved in the situation. I didn't
even know they could do that after the game.
Apparently they can now.
Yeah, because I was waiting for them to do the VAR and review it and maybe say, okay, it's a red card, but you're not going to be suspended or something like that, because of just the replays. Everyone could see it wasn't intentional, right? Even though he did hit the back of his foot. It wasn't like he was striking him. And so, but nonetheless, I've never seen I can't remember a call overturned.
I think it's gonna ultimately be a stain if the United States starts winning. This is gonna be the story.
Yeah.
Why make it a story? Just roll with it, baby. You got to win. Sometimes you got to win with one of your players out. It's just the way sports is. It's just the name of the game. But anyway, I just thought that was petty, unnecessary. But again, the Donald Trump fans will love it, especially if we win this game. It'll be because Donald Trump weighed in on a soccer match and a bad call by the referees, apparently. But
great injustice.
A great injustice, just a crazy injustice. Of all the injustices in the world, we have to focus on soccer. All right, that's my take on the FIFA thing. I don't know. Whatever people think of, it's fine with me. I just think that there's better things for the president of the United States to focus his time and energy on, like UFC fighting.
Oh, you're right.
You should focus on the UFC more so than soccer. I mean, it's a much more important event. Anyway, got to get into Candace Owens. Let's start there. It's clip number 5, Isaiah. She weighs in on elections, and she says the same thing. Her commentary sounds like she's been listening to the Rob Carter show. Now, I do have some insiders that tell me she does listen to the show on occasion. True story, right? So I think that she is aware of who we are because we talk about her and we talk about podcasters a lot, and she's in the same circles now as many of the major podcasters like Fish, like Phil Turney. She even makes mention of Phil Turney. But her commentary about elections is exactly the same commentary we've been making for a long, long, long time. Her understanding of what's going on in the world with distractions coming out of the U.S. government is the same thing we've been saying for a long, long time. Donald Trump not having the power that we think that he has is something we've been saying for a long, long time. This government is on cruise control. It's ran by the bankers. It is upheld by the intelligence agencies, and it is sold by the American media. That is the system that we have. Here is Candace Owens talking about elections with podcaster Sean Ryan. Check this out.
So if the elections are phony, then why do they give a shit about the act?
Because the illusion matters.
Why does it matter?
Because think about if truly tomorrow they came out and said, your vote doesn't mean anything. We've been running the elections since the beginning of time. We kill people in broad daylight. Yeah, we did JFK. We did Charlie and we're going to keep doing whatever the hell we want. So F you.
You think something would actually happen?
Yeah. Because it's actually something Charlie said to me when we were traveling once. He said, one of his little pop quizzes, what is one thing that every civilization that has ever had slavery since the beginning of human history, what is one thing that every single one of those civilizations has in common?
I don't know.
I didn't know either. And he said, there were always more slaves than masters. And that always stuck with me. The few are able to get all of us to behave. So what they fear is a real revolution. That's why they always stoke the flames of internal unrest, because if all of us were in lockstep and we were like, let's go kill these pedophiles, let's go take care of business, that's the biggest threat to the system. A revolution that they don't control. So instead they create revolutions over stupidity. Mm-hmm. Trans bathroom rights. Keep them focused and arguing about stuff that doesn't matter at all. BLM, racial strife, Why isn't there a George Floyd Square? This is fodder for idiots. While they buy islands, they take up land, they destroy heritage, they rewrite history. 20 years from now, they'll say, you already heard, I think, Jerry Seinfeld say, Palestine doesn't exist. He's a man of the future. They'll rewrite history. They'll say they were the victims. It all started on October 7th. And they'll wipe away entire identities. I mean, good for the people in Albania who are standing up to the Israeli settlers right now. Don't know what their plan is there, but something's going on. And that's their biggest threat. So they have to get you to believe in the illusion of elections because you have to think you can change it and that your voice matters.
Golly, just so fantastic.
Spot on.
It's spot on. But why, I got to ask you, Isaiah, because you're a very smart guy, you're young. Why is it that people cannot wrap their brain around the fact, just nice and slow for everybody, because we talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
But I do not understand why people don't see it this way, right? You have a country who is constitutionally obligated to protect its borders. Okay. You have anywhere from 10 to 40 to maybe even 50 million. Who knows? I mean, you get all kinds of different numbers, but we see it all around us. Let's say that this a round number, let's agree that there's 25 million people here illegally. If there's 25 million people in this country illegally, and the federal government is constitutionally obligated to save us from invasion, wouldn't the people that allowed it to happen and brought those people in and paid for them to have hotels and gave them jobs, wouldn't they be violating the Constitution?
You'd think.
Okay, that's one.
Yep.
If the United States government shut down your small businesses and left Walmart, Target, and Lowe's open, they shut down your churches and left Walmart, Target, and Lowe's and Best Buy open, does it ever dawn on the American citizen?
And the dispensaries too. Don't forget about the
marijuana dispensaries. Exactly. Does it ever dawn on the American citizens that a country that leaves their borders wide open, unconstitutional, sold them on a genetic therapy that they sold as a vaccine, sold it on every major corporate television and newspaper outlet, both parties involved, shut down your society and your small business, and transferred $2.2 trillion out of your pocket into the Wall Street bankers? Does it ever dawn on you that maybe the enemy is not Iran, Russia, and the like? Maybe the enemy is within. Is it possible that the enemy is right before you and you're watching them on television every day saying that they're going to solve our problems, when anybody who's old enough to watch this monstrosity continue, you'll recognize that they don't solve any of your problems ever, not once, never? When does it dawn on the American people that climate change was orchestrated? When does it dawn on people that if they're doing those things to you, if they're indoctrinating your kids, if they're spying on you, if they're leaving borders wide open, if they're executing illegal, unconstitutional wars all over the world, if they passed legislation to indoctrinate you, if they passed legislation that allows them to propagandize you in real time, if they've done all this right on the back of COVID, may you begin to understand that the people that do that would not allow you to have an election that actually mattered. Why is that so incredibly difficult for the mind of the American citizen to jump over, to hurdle? Why can't you recognize that the reason they don't want elections that you can understand is because the more complicated the elections, the more opportunity it is for them to steal the elections and keep themselves in power? And it's not about party. That is the ruse. The ruse is you're going to say the Democrats stole the elections. The ruse is they're going to say the Republicans stole the elections. The ruse is you have electronic voting systems, voter rolls that nobody understands, mass mail-in balloting, and timelines to get your ballots in that sometimes last 2, 3, and 4 weeks. How much information would it take for the average American citizen, who I know has been indoctrinated and conditioned for a long time? How long would it take for the elevator to go to the top floor, Isaiah? How long do you think it would take for people to recognize that all of this time and energy and yard signs and just total BS is not going to change the outcome of state or federal elections? Locally, I don't know. I'm down with local elections. But state and federal elections, they have the game rigged. It's a rigged game. Anybody paying attention at all who isn't conditioned out of reality can see it with their very eyes. And all of this talk about transgenderism, what bathroom the boys are going to use, or what bathroom the transgenders are going to use, or George Floyd, as Candace Owen says.
This is fodder for idiots.
Exactly. And how long, Isaiah, do you and I have to live in a land filled with people who cannot put 2 and 2 together? You can bring it to their attention. You can tell it to them 1,000 times, and they keep coming back for more and more and more. It's like the battered woman syndrome, right? You know, you have somebody that you love that's a female. She starts dating a guy. They're getting ready to get married. He's beating her up. You're seeing her with black eyes and bruises all over. And you go, honey, what are you doing? What in the world are you doing? Get away from this guy. This guy, are you going to get married to this guy? He's going to kill you if you get married to. I love him. But he beats you, but I love him. It's like the elections. No matter how much information you can give to people that says the people behind the elections would not allow the power to change hands. The people behind the elections do not want you to have a say-so in anything that's going on in this country. Nothing. Can't you see that? It's so frustrating for me, because coming off the heels of the 250th anniversary of this country, you would like it if the ants began to organize, as Candace Owen says that Charlie Kirk said, there's always more slaves than slave owners.
Yeah.
If the slaves would just recognize that they're being played then maybe we could change the outcome of our situation, which is more and more control and more power by the governing state and less liberty and freedom for the people that live under that rule. It's frustrating, to say the least. Listen to me. I'm going to say, can you clip this for me, Isaiah? Maybe we'll put this on a clip. Hey, everybody in America, the people that left your borders open and stuck a needle in your arm by mandate and execute illegal. Let me start over because I bobbled that just a little bit. Let me start over. Let me do it one more time. Hey, America, just think about this. Would the people that left your borders open to invasion, that allowed 30, 40, 50 million people to come into this country illegally, put them in hotels, gave them credit cards and phones, would those people, the same people that execute illegal, unconstitutional wars, would those people, the same people that stuck a needle in your arm by mandate, the same people that closed your churches and your schools and left Walmart, Target, and weed dispensaries open, would they run legal, legit elections? I want you to think about it for a second, because if you can just, for a minute, think clearly, you would understand that the people that are doing that to you are not your buddies. There's zero chance that they would allow for elections to be in the hands of the people. They have big money, trillions of dollars at stake to keep this system that they have in place by pulling the wool over your eyes, by taking over the corporate news outlets like Fox News and CNN and ABC and MS Now and CNN and all of them. Every single one of them is controlled by the intelligence agencies that keep this facade rolling. Stop it. Think for yourselves. Organize. Everybody begin to organize. Take back this government. Put your neighbors in positions of power. Stop hiring these rich billionaire assholes that want nothing but the blood of your children to spill overseas for big banking interest and corporate interest that are not, it's not going to change your lives at all. It's just going to make your lives more difficult. Please, for the love of God, wake up at some point and see it for what it is, because it is getting very taxing on the soul. But I do believe, Isaiah, having said all that, it's a little frustration for the people that haven't come to the table yet. Having said all that, I do believe that more and more people are beginning to wake up. So that's why I say Donald Trump. I disagree with a lot of the things that he's doing. Maybe God is using him. Maybe he's not such a great guy, but God is using him. Either way it goes, we know more now today about how this system works than it ever in the history of our country, in my humble opinion. Isaiah, what say you?
So you're saying it could be 5D chess?
It could. Well, I don't know if it's 5D chess. Could
I'm
be the
joking.
Lord. Could be the Lord playing 5D chess. I don't think it's Donald Trump. I really don't.
Yeah. The Lord will use anything for his good. For, that's the great thing about the Lord, right? He doesn't need perfect people.
Exactly. Look what Private Browser says. Don't forget they even locked the park entrances in
Yes.
Florida, Isaiah.
Yep.
And in California, they had the beaches closed down.
I remember.
I want you to think about that, right?
Oh yeah.
So you live in America, you're getting raped by taxes. You have an election system that is completely fraudulent. Anybody with a functioning brain could look at the election system and go, is that the best way to run an election system in a constitutional republic? No, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Well, let's continue it on. Just keep doing it. It'll be great. I mean, I hate to be sarcastic, but it just drives me crazy that people get so worked up over elections when their conscious mind can tell them that nobody would run an election like this if they wanted clean elections. Nobody would run elections like this. It's absurd. And it continues on. I thought Candace Owens and that Sean Ryan interview was fantastic. Let's get to this one, because she was asked if she was a conservative or a Republican. Isaiah, this is a question that we get asked all the time, right? I get asked this question all the time. Rob, are you not for the Republicans? You must be for the Islamists and the crazy Marxist Democrats, the Democrat Socialists of America. No, I'm a person who can actually think outside of the left-right paradigm. It is amazing once you get to it. Once you're able to look past the left-right paradigm that has been created for you, a one-party system to make you think that it's two, so that you're fighting left versus right, conservative versus liberal all day long, every day. Once you can rise above it and see it for what it is, you'll begin to see the WWE, WWF, World Wrestling Federation BS that goes on day by day by day. And at some point, our citizenry is either going to be captured by it, because the government is captured. The government's gone. The federal government is nothing more than theater. It is Warenberg theater. As Thomas Massey said, 99% of the things that you see in Congress is scripted in advance. The elections are scripted in advance. I mean, the ones that matter, not everyone, but the ones that matter. That's why you can never tell, right? Because you might check on one in particular and it'll be run perfectly smooth, because that person who's getting in that position has no power whatsoever. As Josh from Rhino Hunter said to us, Isaiah.
Yep.
That's what he said to us. He goes, you know what they do? And I had somebody who was formerly a House rep I sent that video to him and I said, what do you think of this? And they said, that's one of the best interviews I've ever seen. He was talking about Josh Lehman because he said, that's exactly how it is. And he goes, it's even gotten worse over the last 6 or 7 years. You go into Jefferson City, you go into DC, you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground when you get there, and they begin to suck you into the process that allows the deep.
This is how it is, right?
This is how we do it. This is how we do. Yeah, I know you know that one.
Everything's political here. Says there's only one man who works in DC smart enough to play 5D chess, and another country just purchased his house seat. Who do you think he's talking about, Rob?
I think he's talking about Thomas Massey.
Exactly.
All right, let's do Candace Owens because I want to get Candace. I want to give Candace Owens. Normally, I'm very critical and skeptical of everybody that has a big profile, big podcast, because I know how difficult it is to get a message out there. But I got to say, if you have a lot of money, it might be different. She married into a lot of money. I think she made a lot of money when she was working with Ben Shapiro. So maybe she had a lot of cash, and maybe she was able to buy her way into prominence. Nonetheless, her conversation, I didn't find anything that she said wrong in her conversation with Sean Ryan. I didn't, there wasn't one conversation that she had that I wasn't thinking the exact same thing. And I think that's what makes news personalities, what makes podcasters and influencers popular, is they say what you're thinking, but you never articulate it because you have nowhere to say it. And if you did say it, people would think that you were crazy. I think what makes people popular in this game is saying what people are already thinking, and they go, oh, somebody thinks like me. Here is Candace Owens talking about whether she is a Republican or a conservative. Clip number 9, Isaiah.
Consider myself to be a Republican.
Do you still consider yourself to be a conservative?
I'm always going to be a conservative. I actually realized I always was a conservative. I was raised with my grandfather. He was conservative. A Republican? Different.
Yeah, I guess there is a difference now, huh? I don't know, man. I trust my gut, but maybe I don't trust my gut because the lead up to this last election was just all lies.
Something happened to Trump, right? The person that I think I placed stock in was Trump. And we got played. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And the obvious answer is I think that Trump desperately, by any means necessary, wanted to win again. Felt the election, like many people do feel, was stolen from him in 2020. COVID, changing the way we vote. I totally agree with that, by the way. And his entire life's mission then transformed into, I will do anything to win again, including making a deal with the devil and selling my soul.
That's what you think happened.
And he took $300 million from Miriam Adelson, something that he once mocked Marco Rubio from doing. He tweeted once about Sheldon Adelson owning Marco Rubio. You don't take $300 million from people who run Vegas and tell them no about anything. And so Trump is not his own man, plain and simple. Trump is not running this administration. Now I think he probably has a little bit of regret taking the money.
You think so?
I think so. I don't think he likes not being his own man. I think that's what a lot of the lashing out is about.
That they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
I think Trump, at his core, wants to be liked, and I think he knows he's not liked right now.
You think he'll ever be liked again?
No.
Me neither.
So to answer your question, no, I don't consider myself to be a Republican. Yes, I do consider myself to be a conservative.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Interesting conversation, I thought. Isaiah? Isn't that kind of how we see it? I say, listen, I lean to the Republican ideology of past, but I watch the way they...
The tenets that they have written down, right? That they say are the Republican tenets. That's what we hold to, but they disregard them.
I would just watch what they do. And as I watch what they do, it doesn't jive with what I understand to be Republicans. When I think of Republicans, and I think I told you this during COVID, I thought that when we exposed what was going on with the COVID con job, even when Donald Trump was president at the beginning, I thought when we exposed it, that conservatives would come a-running to what we had to say. And some did, but most didn't. Even conservatives of the day did not recognize that it was a con job. They still don't at some level. But it is. There's no doubt whatsoever in the world that COVID was a con job, an orchestrated global con job. Period. Fact. And for people not to see that in this late date is very concerning to me, because you're fighting to get people to pay attention to what you have to say and then let them go figure it out for themselves. Well, if you decide to figure out COVID, if you say, you know what, Rob, I'm going to take 30 days. I'm going to read all of the studies about COVID. I'm going to go back and look how they rolled it out. not only in America, but around the world. I'll watch how they rolled out COVID. Then I'll use my own functioning brain to figure out whether they were killed in the hospitals or if they were killed by COVID. You're going to come to the same conclusion that everybody else did. It was a con job. Isaiah, let's get to that real fast. This is clip number 2. We'll get that one ready for us. I just want to lay this out. We'll get back to Candace Owens in a minute. But Dr. Drew had 2 doctors, I think it was 2 doctors or researchers on his show recently. We just talked about this the other day. One of the ladies that works for us, she said that she had a friend or a family member, I forget which one, I'll get it from her. She said what we described last week about getting into the hospital and getting their remdesivir and their ventilators killed one of her friends. Killed many of my friends. And I ask anybody in the audience, do you know anybody that decided not to go to the hospital that took prednisone or took hydroxychloroquine and zinc or took ivermectin? Do you know one person that stayed at home who didn't go to the hospital who died? And if millions of people supposedly around the world died from COVID, wouldn't you know a couple of people that died at home? No. You don't know anybody that died at home. It's because that's not where they were dying at. They were dying in the hospitals from the protocols, similar to the way Dr. Fauci laid out the protocols for AIDS with AZT. Same exact person, same exact plot, same exact outcome. And just like in the 1980s when they sold AZT, HIV, and AIDS to the American public, they did the same thing with COVID. And both times, Dr. Fauci was hailed a hero. It's the most amazing mind F I have ever seen in my entire life. Here is Dr. Drew He's coming around and telling us what we talked about 5 years ago, Isaiah. 5 years ago, we were telling people this, and now Dr. Drew's coming to see the light. As Dr. Shiva said, look out for the charlatans who tell you what you knew 5 years ago, and then you go, yeah, somebody's finally agreeing with me, because they are way past the point of no return. Now they can let it out because all of the people who recognized what was happening in real time will gravitate to these personalities on television. Dr. Shiva says they're all con artists. Here is Dr. Drew and his guest telling us what we told our audience on our podcast in the middle and beginning of 2021. Check this out.
With more than 5 times as much fentanyl in her system as George Floyd.
I took Danielle in for cough. They said she have COVID pneumonia. Before they even admitted my daughter, which had normal vitals, and she was talking, eating, the chest was clear, the sound of her breath was clear. They started on remdesivir. They ended her life in 41 days.
They'd received $1.2 billion to Northwell Hospital just in 2020 to enact all the protocols that were required for lockdowns, the ventilation, the remdesivir, and all the rest of it, and the COVID diagnosis. And they had to meet their numbers to keep their PrEP Act funds.
I'm looking right now at her medication list that Caleb sent me. They had her completely zonked on propofol, for one thing. How long was she on a ventilator for?
32 days.
32 days?
At one point, they secured her to the bed so she couldn't take those things off of her. She wanted to be out of there.
They were busy treating the numbers. This is how people ended up on ventilators all the time. They called them the happy hypoxic. They were there with low concentration of oxygen in their blood and perfectly comfortable. And no one was given any other treatment than, get them on a ventilator right away. That is where they harmed a lot of people.
Precedex is a paralytic to paralyze her. Propofol is what killed Michael Jackson.
Little late to the ball game, aren't they, Isaiah?
Yep.
Isn't it funny after everything is over, then they
couldn't have said it during the whole situation, right?
Couldn't say it, didn't say it, wouldn't say it, was just the opposite when it all mattered. But now that it doesn't matter anymore, now they're going to come out as heroes and tell us information that we knew from the very beginning. You have to look at it like this. The American media, the pharmaceutical companies, the hospital administrations, the insurance companies, the Democrats and the Republicans played a game on you. Games people play. They played a game on you. They didn't care if it killed you. They didn't care if it destroyed your life or your job or anything else. Those people are running the elections that you're tripping over yourselves to determine who to vote for. Make it make sense for me, Isaiah.
We'll send you a stimulus check. You'll be okay.
Can you imagine? I'm serious. I want to know if I'm crazy or the world is crazy. I just want you to think of the people that organized this event, sold it to people all over the world. You could take time out of your day right now to go to YouTube, type in Event 201, spend several hours watching it, and you'll see it. You'll see American politicians telling you they're going to give you hamburgers and French fries if you get the vaccination. You're going to go out and you're going to see on YouTube, you're going to find out politicians that said, come get donuts from Krispy Kreme if you get the vaccination. You're going to see 6-month-old babies with masks on their faces. They're trying to pull them off as they're crying. You're going to see people arrested at sporting events because their mask was underneath their nose. You're going to see the most insane crap that you've ever seen in your life, all coordinated by a bunch of monsters who wanted to stick needles in your arm so it would kill off people just to see if they could do it. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens. You have to admit, Isaiah, you got to admit with me. Come on, everybody, please. Rena, is it not the most amazing thing you've ever seen? When you wake up to what's actually happening in the world, does it not blow your mind that these things continue? Let me get to some advertising.
I think the main thing that I thought was going to come out of this was the universal basic income, which they're talking about again. And so it's, that's, if they can keep people at home and they make it too hard to work, right? Too hard to earn your own money, or even where majority of people who are lower middle class can't earn any income, right? That's an easy implementation for a universal basic income, which, is just the continuation of the welfare programs and just an expansion of it. So
can I give you an idea of how society should be structured, Isaiah, when I'm king?
Please.
I might be king. I'm only 56. I could be king before it's all said and done. It's possible.
Maybe emperor.
Right. I'm benevolent. That's one of the reasons I should be king. But if I were king, I would say, you know what? People need to have something. I think the human spirit likes to have something to do, to be useful. Right. I believe that that's part of the human spirit. So I would not want a universal basic income where nobody worked and everything was done by robots and we had nothing to get up and achieve on a daily basis. But why couldn't we have a 3-day work week? Why do humans have to work 5 or 6 or 7 days to survive in the world that we live in now? Why couldn't it be that you work for 3 days and for 4 days you get to enjoy your life with your friends and your family, and there's enough food, there's enough resource to make your life tolerable? Why is that not the process that we're living in? Just think about it. If you work 5 days a week, you get off on Friday, and let's say like my wife does, right? My wife works as a nurse. When my wife goes to work, she comes home around 8:30 at night. She leaves at 5:30 in the morning, and she comes home around 8:30 at night. She asks for a foot rub, and then she goes to sleep immediately and gets up and does it all over again. That's her life. Is that a life? I say to her all the time, she goes, honey, I got to get out of this at some point. My body's falling apart. I've got to turn over 400-pound people and wipe their ass all the time, and I barely have the energy to do it anymore. I'm getting tired. Is it right for my father to be out in the 100-something degree heat at age 79 years old when he started working when he was 12? Is that what it's supposed to be all about? And if you're one of the fortunate people that saved your money, did everything within the system, and you had a nice education and good parents and everything worked out for you, great. But you're one of the 20%. You're not one of the 50% or 60 or 70 or 80%. You're one of the very few. That is because the system is designed to keep you working as long as they can keep you working. You know who's been putting out videos about that, Isaiah?
Who?
Jim Brewer, the comedian.
Oh, I know. I've been watching them.
He's been great.
The ones in front of him,
like
his fridge is like right here or something, right? Yeah. Yep.
We got to get him on the show. Let me finish with Candace, then I get to advertisers. All right, let's go with Candace, because Sean Ryan at the very end of that interview, and I suggest everybody go see it. I generally don't say go watch an interview, but I think Candace Owens, if she was to, she convinced me to pay attention to her. I have not paid attention to her in quite some time because it's the Charlie Kirk. She's going to solve the Charlie Kirk thing. And I just don't have that much time to invest in the investigation, but I will pay attention to Candace Owens after this interview. This interview kind of, I don't know what the word for it is, Isaiah. It gave me pause. And I started thinking, well, wow, she's on the same page with everything that we're saying. Now, is she organizing people? Not yet. But she's on the same topics, and she's come to the same conclusions as the Rob Carter show. And I think that is something I have to pay attention to. I just have to. She was on the same page with me. She was.
We got our token freedom principle watcher on here saying that he can't believe that you think Candace Owens is a legitimate voice.
Well, Carrie, you have to tell me what she said that you don't agree with. You got to start there. So, Carrie, I'm with you. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't know. I haven't watched her for very long. I'm really talking about this one particular interview. I don't want to say that she has not said some vile things, but you have to tell me what they are. I don't watch her every day. If you're watching her
President
every
Trump
day,
said some vile things.
well, I want to know what she said, Carrie. If you can
Yeah.
tell me what she said that you think is so vile, I just got to know what that is, and then I'll respond to that.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't pay
You
enough
think
attention.
President Trump has said some vile things in your opinion?
Yeah. What about you feel that way about President Donald Trump, Gary?
Yeah, because he said some pretty crazy stuff.
Right. I would take it that far. She was asked by Sean Ryan, Candace Owens was, who her favorite, if he was to have one interview. Let me start back. Let me back up just a bit. Sean Ryan asked Candace Owens if he was to do one interview, who would she suggest the one interview would be? And here's what she said. It is clip number 1, Isaiah. Fantastic.
This question. If you had 3 guests to recommend for this show, who would they be?
Phil Turney,
Boom.
USS Liberty.
Boom.
Okay.
Changed my life.
My life.
There's just something about a person who's held on to something like that their whole life and felt that they could never move on because of their brothers
Good,
being
Isaiah.
ruthlessly
Look there.
murdered.
So she
That
says
just-
the number 1 interview that she would request that he take on is Phil Turney. And he responded to that. Phil Turney heard it and he responded to it. And he's been a big fan. Now, I like Phil Turney, right? 79 years old. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I like Phil Turney. Phil Turney says the number 1 thing that we need to understand in this country is that as we align ourselves with the great nation state of Israel, as we fly the American flag and the Israeli flag side by side, when you walk around the halls of Congress and you see Israeli flags and I stand with Israel signs all over the place, you must remember that Israel, according to eyewitnesses that saw it happen, not people that didn't see it happen, not people that believe the official story that was sold to them, like John F. Kennedy was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald all by himself because he woke up one day and said, you know what, I think I'm going to kill the president. I'll run up to the book depository and I'll just kill him and everything will be great. Then I'll go see a movie and I should probably get away with it, right? Nobody thinks these things. Nobody believes these things. Phil Turney, what's going on with my camera all of a sudden? Phil Turney and the people involved who watched it happen said the state of Israel intentionally, on purpose, without a doubt, according to these men, bombed a USS spy ship. Ron Paul says that America was captured the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. John F. Kennedy was trying to warn the world that Israel was stealing secrets and wanted to create a nuclear bomb in Israel, which they have now, which is illegal for us to even have anything to do with them by our own standards. But there is no constitution anymore. We all know that, right? It's a scary situation we have going on. Phil Turney, one of the surviving members of the USS Liberty Veterans Association, says that if you don't recognize that Israel is against Christianity and against America and will eventually destroy this country, then you're just sleepwalking into the wood chipper. And nobody seems to want to believe him, Isaiah. 15 80-year-old men, direct testimony of something they all witnessed, say that Israel bombed their ship intentionally, and you can't get one person on the Democrat or Republican side outside of Thomas Massey to recognize it, hold an investigation, and maybe hold the people that were behind it accountable. Not one person will come to Jeffrey Winehouse's defense. The revolution will not be televised because the revolution needs to come from us. If you're waiting for selected officials to fix the situation, you're wasting your time and your energy. That is not going to happen. If we are to save the future for humanity, if we are to save the future for America, if we are to save the future for our kids and grandkids, unfortunately, you and I are going to have to do it. That is the fact. Jack, here is Phil Turney in a video that he put out over the weekend. Check this out.
Well, I was going to say before you went to the video, did you see what was introduced this past week by Thomas Massey?
Is it the investigation?
Yeah. So the House Joint Resolution has finally been, he didn't introduce it when we were there.
Yeah.
And so he just introduced it last week. And so now there is a House Joint Resolution that's introduced that people can call their congressmen and ask them to join with Thomas Massey. So this is a big deal because it's actually something substantial that can be done and where you can get people behind it and pressuring their congressmen to join in, you know what I mean? Versus, you're just talking about it until you get something like this done. And so,
I think you're, Isaiah, you're talking about what we're trying to get across to everybody that listens.
Yeah.
The pressure comes from you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a system that in theory would work. In theory, you could pressure your local and state officials to get things done, even at the federal and international level. But we don't. Isaiah and I went there on a Monday. How many people were walking around asking questions of their leaders, Isaiah?
We were the only people in the hall. There were people there for, what was it? The Taiwan Day, I think, right?
Yeah.
They weren't really asking questions. They were just trying to.
It's like a field trip.
Yeah, they were just trying to raise awareness, and it was the day where they're going there, and I think they're invited, and the congressmen are taking pictures with them and stuff, right? Besides that, no one was there. Had about an hour ahead of time, they were notified by Thomas Massey's team. The entire press corps was notified that we were going to be there.
Newsmax showed up and us.
Newsmax, us, and then TMZ, who's there now,
TMZ.
right? Which people are like, what the heck, TMZ?
Right, and think about it, Isaiah, right? This is the arguments that we make. Can you imagine a scenario where the most powerful nation in the world, you can walk right into their offices and ask the people that are making the decisions question. You walk right in, just knock on the door, walk right in, and there's nobody there? There's no citizens?
Mm-hmm.
What would happen if 100,000 citizens showed up in Washington, D.C. and started knocking on doors and go, hey, when's COVID going to be answered?
Yeah.
You maniacal, rotten monsters. And I want to say the MF word, but I'm not going to do it, Isaiah, because I'm better than that. But that's what I want to say. You rotten bastards that killed millions of people around the world, have you not figured out, with all of the information that is available, that this was a coordinated operation against the people of America? You haven't figured that out yet? Rand Paul, you haven't figured that out? Thomas Massey, you haven't figured that out? Marjorie Taylor Greene, you haven't figured that out? Donald Trump, haven't figured it out? Chuck Schumer hasn't figured it out? Nancy Pelosi, none of you have figured it out? Just the shoe guy down in Florida in a studio, he's figured it out, along with Isaiah, the alderman from St. Clair. We figured it out, but you guys can't figure it out?
Yeah, you figured out that Tucker's
Defies
family was in CIA before he even knew, Rob. Could you believe that?
Oh, you must have read my notes because you're setting me up. All right, let's do some advertising. Oh, I want to show the picture of.
Yeah, let's show them quick. I interrupted you. I'm sorry. I thought that was important, like you said, because of just the way we talk about things and how we can organize. That's just important because it's actually there now and people can take action on it. You know what I mean?
Yes, there is.
I know we're trying to be more action oriented.
I think you got 1 million views of this. The last I looked, it was like 600 something thousand. So this is Phil Turney. So this is Candace Owens says Phil Turney is the #1 interview, and we've had him on. I've had Phil Turney on 3 times. We're friendly with him. We text him directly. I absolutely love him. I love the veterans. I want the best for them, and I want their legacy to be that they alerted the American people before it was too late. That's what I want their legacy to be, because their message is Israel is against America. They are not for you. The intelligence agencies in America, maybe around the world, and Israel are working together, but they're not working for the best interest of the average everyday American citizen. They're working in the best interest of big corporate and banking power. And then they have to create the illusion that you have a government that's looking out for you when all of the evidence is to the contrary. Here is Phil Turney. He put just a little short clip out from his home, and this had millions of views. Again, this is who Candace Owens says is the #1 interview in the country. And I happen to agree. It is Phil Turney, USS Liberty survivor. Here you go.
I burned this evil flag on the 4th of July in remembrance of my 34 brothers tattooed in my arm who were slaughtered by Israel June 8, 1967. I also call out all the Zionist Congress senators. You're supposed to fight for this country, not Israel. So you should be voted out, all of you.
Boom.
I didn't even know he had that tattoo on his arm. I didn't even see that when I was with him.
He talked to us about that. Yeah, he said he got all of his shipmates that were murdered that day, and he says murdered. He got tattooed into his arm. He said they've been living inside of me, so I'd put them on the outside of me so everybody else could see what I was feeling from the inside. He's a very emotional guy. I like his son. His son is a big dude, isn't he?
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
So
they're
Bryce's
so nice.
They're the nicest people, right? You know, you're just involved in a major historical event. And, you know, I've got a couple other clips. We'll see if we have time to get to them because I want to get to Lindy. When does she start? What do we got?
We got 10 minutes.
10 minutes before she comes on. I want to make sure that we get to her story. She says that Missouri, we got Isaiah, if we don't, I want to get into it today. So in the 11 o'clock hour, will you please remind me, maybe the audience will remind me, I want to talk about Palantir. Peter, more information is coming out.
Yeah.
So people can see what's really going on in the country, because you're not going to get it from Fox News. Don't you understand Fox News is there to create narratives to take you off of the path of understanding what the world is doing? Fox News is as deceptive as a serpent, sly as a Fox News, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay?
Mhm.
Stop turning it on. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Every time you do it, you get dumber. Who would do anything that would make them dumber, Isaiah? Right? Every time you turn on Fox News, your ability to understand what's going on in the world goes down significantly. It is a dumbing down of America. It is a cheapening of your critical thinking. Fox News is as much of an enemy to you as CNN or MSNBC or ABC, CBS, the like. They're all in the game together. It is a mockingbird press. It's absolute nonsense. It tells you nothing. It keeps you constantly fighting with the Democrats, or it keeps you fighting with the Republicans or the conservatives or the liberals or the fat or the skinny or the tall or the short. They'll have you fighting over everything so long as you don't fight them.
Mhm. The communists are common sense. Which side are you on?
The communists are coming, but we don't talk about here's what we're going to talk about in the 11 o'clock hour, or when we're done speaking with Lindy Williford, because I think her story is going to fascinate people as well, especially in Missouri.
Mhm.
But we're going to talk about Peter Thiel, Ehud Barak,
Mhm.
Jeffrey Epstein. Who's my other one? And Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
All linked together. Remember when we just did this, who is JD Vance? And we said, what is Tucker Carlson getting? Why is he spooning with JD Vance when everybody knows where JD Vance came from? Well,
Yeah. Did you see this article that was republished this past weekend?
no.
Yeah. So this is in the Atlantic. They republished from 10 years ago an op-ed that JD Vance wrote against Donald Trump, and so they republished it this past weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Yeah, right here.
Let's see what it says at the beginning.
Let's see. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, paywall.
Paywall in the Atlantic. Did you read it?
I did not read it. No, I was reading another article that was talking about the article.
Gotcha.
And so I was reading that one, and I was like, oh my gosh. But I saw the headline. Yeah, 10 years ago, the vice president wrote that one day voters would realize the truth about Donald Trump.
Can you hear me? There it is.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it says the
Yours went crazy. Yours went tin canish on me.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
All right, so your sound is a mess, Isaiah. Don't speak anymore because your sound is all over the place. So you got to figure out what's going on with your sound.
I
But let me
fixed
get-
it.
Okay, there you go. Let me get to the advertisers, and then we'll get into Lindy Williford. So what Lindy Williford's going to tell us is that Missouri, as far as rankings are concerned by states, is one of the most ranks the highest in sexual abuse and rape in Missouri. Why would that be? I wonder. It's kind of crazy. But she's got she says she was right in the middle of it. I have not heard the story. I know Lindy, I interviewed her once before, but we'll hear what she has to say here in just a bit. But let me start with peopleslobbymo.com. So again, if you're interested in what we have to say, if you're interested in being just a little piece of the solution, if you'd rather just watch it all the time and you'd rather just see it on television and hope and pray and get down on your knees and do whatever you do and hope that the situation is going to rectify itself without your involvement, do your thing. If you'd like to be a part of something, a family, if you will, a having fun family, we're going to have fun while we do it, Isaiah. We're not going to be miserable as we take on the government. We're going to have fun as we do it, but we are going to create an environment where the political system in the state of Missouri and ultimately around the country, we're going to put a process in place where the pressure from the people so outweighs the money that can be gleaned or gained or attained from the lobby groups and the big corporate money that the system will shift back in to place where the people have control of their government. It is a long ride. It's going to be a long ride. It's not going to be easy. But if you want to get involved, you got to get to peopleslobbymo.com. Very simple. peopleslobbymo.com. Donate, sign up, join us. It will be, if you're somebody who cares about the future, if you actually, when you sit down and you think to yourself, what organizations can I be a part of that will actually do something at the end of the day to make my life better for my kids and my grandkids? Who would it be? And it's Act for Missouri, and it's People's Lobby Missouri. In my opinion, that's it. That's it. I don't know if the shieldmates are trying, they're getting out information, but I don't know if they're trying to organize people. We're trying to organize people. We're trying to say, listen, if we all join hands together and there's thousands and thousands of Rob Carters and Amy Castros and Michael Comptons who are just trying to get information out, you determine what you want to do with it. But once the awakening begins, when you recognize that you are dealing with within a system that is completely contained and managed, and you're not going to get out of this box unless you get involved, then join peopleslobbymo.com. We are a marketing company that will apply pressure. So it's a pressure campaign through marketing, and marketing brings awareness. Marketing gets people to think in certain terms. And as we begin to discuss these things, our situation will get better and better and better. peopleslobbymo.com. And Isaiah, as we like to tell everybody, it is Monday morning. I don't know if people are still hungover from the weekend, but if you are, if you're listening to the show and you like what we have to say and you understand what we're trying to do, please like, share. One of the most important things we can do for our family here, that's with the, the daily listeners that listen live every day, because I'm starting to see 60-70% of people are listening after the show, right? They're listening at night, they're listening whenever they got free time. But for those of you that join us very early in the morning, it helps us if you like, share, you subscribe wherever you can subscribe. Like on YouTube, you should subscribe immediately. Rumble, please subscribe. It hurt you, right? If you subscribe and you make comments, it helps us. I'm getting feedback out of your thing, Isaiah. I don't know what is going on today. So crazy. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Those are the things that help us out. We appreciate it very much when you do that. We watch and see how many people are helping. Please help us. It's just so much better. They say I'm blowing. I am. I don't know what's going on. My cameras are all in the same place. It seems kind of weird today. I'm getting feedback in my ear every now and again. And we have everything in the same place. I think, Isaiah, right? I know you haven't messed with my cameras, have you? He's smiling at me. All right. ECS Roofing and Exteriors, one of our favorite advertisers, ECS Roofing and Exteriors. Apparently, he was down at the Lake of the Ozarks because he put video out. There must have been a huge storm down at the Lake of the Ozarks. Looks like the ocean was coming in. Lake of the Ozarks can get crazy during big storms, but ECS Roofing and Exteriors, this is our guy. This is Larry Evans. If you need a new roof, if you have a hole in your roof, if you have a leak in your roof, if it's just time for a new roof, it is ECS Roofing and Exteriors. You can check them out on Facebook. ECS Roofing and Exteriors, been around for over 30 years. We do not mess with people who get over on our customers. We don't do that. If you're a listener of our show and we tell you about an advertiser, that means we have done the vetting. We don't run like the Republican Party, Isaiah. We actually vet the people that we do business with because we want you to be satisfied when you use them. ECS Roofing and Exteriors, great cost, great people. Over 30 years in construction, roofing, siding, decks, gutters, garage doors, custom exterior metal, residential or commercial, doesn't matter to him. He loves new construction. Free licensed inspections and a licensed independent adjuster. The reason that's important is the methodology for roofing companies to get you into their system is to knock on your door. Say they right after a storm, they're going to knock on your door. They're going to say they see something on your roof. They'll have the insurance companies work with you, and they're going to fix your problem. It happened to me when Larry Evans was explaining it to me. I said, well, that happened to me. I went through this entire process. He said, they are just full of it. Larry Evans, happened to be a licensed insurance adjuster. So when I tell you that the insurance companies are going to work with you, I know what I'm talking about. ECS Roofing and Exteriors, great price, great people, conscientious workers. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. That is Larry Evans. Give him a call, 314-486-3567. 314-486-3567. ECS Roofing and Exteriors. And then we got Rocket, my man Mitch and Brian. RocketCareers.com. This is a national advertiser, so it doesn't matter where you're at in the country. Rocket, ROCKIT careers.com. ROCKIT careers.com. Has been a friend of mine since we were in high school together. Loves this business because he's just one of these guys. He's kind of a happy-go-lucky type of guy, Mitch is. And he loves to help people. He just, you might as well do a business where you love doing what you're doing. Well, that's Mitch. He likes to help people find work. He likes to help businesses get great candidates and great people into their businesses. This is what he does. Talent recruiting, you name it, they'll take care of you. Connecting great talent to great jobs. It is rocketcareers.com, ROCKIT careers.com. And he works on both sides of the fence. So if you're an employer and human resources is either too expensive or you don't have a human resources or they're not doing a very good job, this business, rocketcareers.com, will find the right candidates for your business. And if you're a small business owner and you're not having problems attracting great talent, then show us the way, because most people have a real tough time getting good people to work for them. And if you are on the other side of the fence and you're out of work or you hate your job, you just give these guys a call and they will help you launch a new career. Rocketcareers.com, ROCKIT careers.com, 636-778-2419, 636-778-2419, Rocket, ROCKIT careers.com. How about Grace Halling, Isaiah? Can we get to Grace Halling real fast? Jay Brown says, Rob, you're glowing. GraceHauling.com, GraceHauling.com, our good friend Gary Schneider. The reason you see those trucks all over St. Charles County is because he is the best. Great guy, great business, been around since 1998, 2, 4, 6, and 8-yard dumpsters for anybody on the commercial side of business. And if you're on the residential side, always think GraceHauling.com when it comes to trash, rubbish, and the like. Trash, recyclables, yard waste, and bulk pickups. Outstanding customer service, competitive pricing. It is GraceHauling.com. All things rubbish, all things trash. GraceHauling.com. GraceHauling.com. One more time for the people in back. GraceHauling.com. All right, Isaiah. Let's bring in Lindy Williford. I was told by several people I should have her back on the show. She has some information about Missouri schools. She claims that rape and sexual abuse is a real problem in Missouri schools. There's Lindy. Hey, Lindy, what's going on?
Hi, guys. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm curious about this story because I know nothing about it. I try to, you may know this, Lindy. I don't know how long I know you were following me when I was on the radio a little bit. We do local, state, federal, and international stories because what we believe is they tie together. Yep. We think that when you take one out of context, you don't recognize. If you're looking at local politics, you're going, why are AI data centers coming in? Well, then you look no further than Operation Stargate, introduced by Donald Trump with Sam Altman and Larry Ellison on the first day of his presidency. And you go, wow, that's connected to federal initiatives. If you look at, for example, taxation, and you're like, what's going on with the budget? You realize that the federal government bought off the state governments with COVID, and you see how those two things work together. When you see how it all plays, then it starts to make sense to you. When you take just the federal or just the state or just the local by itself in a vacuum, it never makes any sense. You always want to fix it. Like, it's a big ship to fix. Missouri schools have been a problem. Everybody in the Missouri school system has tried to get on the show at some point to tell me something about Missouri schools. Let's hear what you have to say. What's going on? Rape and sexual abuse, you say, is a real problem in Missouri schools. Talk to me.
Just as you mentioned, Missouri, nationwide, there was a study in 2019 that came out by the Journal of Child Sexual Abuse, reports that 1 in 10 American students will experience sexual abuse at the hands of a K through 12 school employee. 1 in 10. That's incredible.
It's
happening. 1 in 10.
I got to tell you a story, Lindy, real fast. And I'm curious if this would play into it. I happen to know 2, maybe 3 kids when I was in high school that had affairs with teachers. One male student with a female teacher that was 25. He would have been 17 at the time. Another young girl that was 17, 18 years old. She was a senior in high school, might have 17 or 18 at that time. And she was having an affair with one of my teachers that was at a different school, but same situation. And then another one where they ended up getting married after they got out of school. I believe that was the story. They got married, but they were dating when he was a substitute teacher and she was a student. And ultimately they ended up getting married. Crazy to think that this is happening, but I guess if that's your game, right? If you're a teacher or some kind of official within the school system, and you got the hots for 17, 18-year-olds, then that'd be a nice place to be on a daily basis, wouldn't you think?
Yes. And it's funny that you bring that up because yesterday, as I was, preparing to be on your show, I was looking at a couple things. There was a writer for the New York Times. His name was Kurt Eichenwald. And as a journalist, he lurked online in pedophile chat rooms, and he reported about the ways that pedophiles convince themselves that children want to have sex with them. And how they insert themselves into children's lives. And he explained that these pedophiles would often discuss their personal lives, and they like to speak about how close their jobs took them to children. And he said the most frequent job mentioned was school teacher. School teacher. A number of self-described teachers shared detailed observations about children in their class, including events that they considered sexual, like a second grade boy grabbing his crotch in class. So pedophiles are going to go where their prey are located, right? And what better barrel to pick a victim from than a school full of children? You know, and even though this is a problem nationwide, Missouri stands out as one of the worst states. And I just want to share some statistics.
Why, Lindy? Why would that be? Do you have any sense of it? It seems so odd.
I don't know why that would be. It does make you wonder, why aren't people asking that question? Why aren't they asking that question? Do people even know about this?
You were showing me those charts, and I'm like, Missouri, number one there for a little bit in the entire country per capita.
Yeah.
Very
so
bizarre.
in October 2020, the United States Department of Education Office for Civil Rights released a brief called the 2017-2018 Civil Rights Data Collection, Sexual Violence in K-12 Schools. This is the latest data available on this topic from the Department of Education, from any government agency that I'm aware of. This brief included statistics from 2015 and 2016 too. And this is just reported incidents, okay? There's a lot that doesn't go reported. They did suspend this data collection during COVID, and they have not done it since. You know, Trump abolished the Department of Education. And since, you know, as we all know now, our entire country is ran by pedophiles, I don't know if this data will ever be collected again. You know, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to expose themselves. So some shocking statistics about the state of Missouri from this report. In 2015, Missouri ranked number 3 in the country for the highest amount of sexual assaults on students in the K-12 public education. That same year, in 2015-2016, they ranked number 10 in the highest amount of rapes and attempted rapes of students. In 2015-2016, we were already on the charts.
And this, all the numbers you're giving me, I just want to make sure I got it correct, Lindy. It's not student on student. This is somebody working within the school system and a student.
Correct.
Okay. Just making sure. Again,
this is the latest data that we have available. In 2017-2018, Missouri ranked number 9 in the country for sexual assaults, in the entire country for sexual assaults. They ranked number 1 in the entire country in 2017-2018 for student rape and attempted rape. Number 1. Yeah, there's the chart. Thank you. This is from the Office of Civil Rights, Department of Education. So anybody can look this up online. Just type that in. And you can see it for yourself. This is not something that is just my opinion. This is something that
we're the big winner. Missouri's the big one. It's not even close.
Right.
Would that explain why nothing ever gets done within these school boards?
I mean, you would think with our supermajority of Republicans, you know, that we would do something about protecting kids in Missouri public schools, but I feel like
they enrich themselves by supposedly protecting kids. That's how it works. Lydia.
You know, and I struggle. I'm like, do people just not know about this? Or do people really do know about this? I know that the people involved in their local school districts, they know that this is a problem. I mean, I'm in the Wentzville School District. All you have to do is Google sexual assault, sexual misconduct lawsuits, and you're going to pull up something, right? There's 500.
Didn't one of the school board or was the superintendent that got the $1.2 million payout in Wentzville?
I'm from that school district. Yes, I am.
$1.2 million.
$1.2 million.
It's not a bad day's work.
No, it's not, is it?
and as I understand, I'd like to get her on the show. I'd like to. You think she'd come on with me and let me grill her for a little bit? She basically claimed that they were harassing her, and I happen to know the people involved with that. They're not harassing anybody. It's ridiculous. She ran a scam, in my opinion. Is it Isaiah? I got to make sure, Isaiah. Is it still okay to have an opinion, Isaiah? Can you check that legally? I want to have an opinion. If I still have an opinion, it is that was an absolute scam, and it's been done around Missouri schools where they basically have a law firm in their back pocket. They claim that they're being harassed. Then the law firm tells the schools, don't take it to court because you're only going to lose. It's going to cost you more money. Just do a settlement. And then they settle and take off with all the money. It's a great scam. The only thing I'm bothered by it is that I didn't think of it because that would have been a great scam perpetrated.
I call it the education cartel because that's what it is. It's like all these pieces moving in unison. And it's not even just our state. It's like nationwide with the teachers union and all the departments of education and all the different sectors. They all they do the shell game all at once. And it's like they all just move together at the same time. So, I mean, these stats that I shared about Missouri, I want to just also share my own personal story of how I know that this is true. I used to work for a client called the Missouri United School Insurance Council. And for simplicity purposes, they were essentially the insurance company for Missouri public schools. There are currently 519 school districts in the state of Missouri. At the time that I worked for the Missouri United School Insurance Council, we insured probably 500 of them. And how this program worked was each school district would contribute yearly what we would call premiums, right, into this giant risk pool of money that the Missouri United School Insurance Council would use this money to settle claims, to defend school districts, to defend employees of school districts, teachers, etc. And a point that'll make you mad now and it'll make you mad then is the money that went into this risk pool of settlement hush money. That's our money. It's tax money, taxpayers' money that was in this pool to settle these claims. So I have been in risk management my entire life, 25 years by the time that I started to work for the Missouri United School Insurance Council. And so I went into this job thinking, I was going to do like bus accidents, playground accidents, slip and fall, stuff like that. What I was not prepared for when I entered this role was how many claims and cases of sexual misconduct I would see come across my desk. I was shocked. Like until that point, you heard like the stories of like Mary Kay Letourneau, it wasn't like something that was on everybody's radar that all this pedo stuff was going on inside public school. So I was starting to see like all of these things and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So my job for them was to either defend school districts and school district employees in matters of this nature, or when there was no defending them and they were guilty, negligent, liable for the sexual misconduct or assault, I had to put a dollar figure on what that would be worth for the victims. So imagine like, how do you put a dollar figure on a young girl that was raped or an elementary school child that was, sexually assaulted in the bathroom or something? Like that was my job, was to use this pool of money, our money, to settle these claims with victims or defend these claims for the school district for a living. I mean, that's what I did for a living. And when I finally hit this point of, I can't do this anymore, I'll just share, I'll try to make it quick, but I will share a personal story. I don't want to share too many details, but I was sitting across a table in a mediation with this young girl who had been raped by a male teacher in a St. Louis County school district.
Young girl, how old?
At the time of her rape, I would say 14, 15, 16. She had been raped for several years by this teacher.
Gotcha.
And we were there at the table with her and her attorney to settle monetarily with her. What can we settle with you for monetarily? Being raped for a couple of years. And I just remember sitting across from her and I was just like, I had a daughter at that time that wasn't much, younger than her. And I was just thinking to myself, I can't do this anymore. I can't defend the dark side of this and sit here and say, I'm going to pay you. Here you go. Here's your money for being raped, for your entire, childhood innocence taken away from you. And it was at that point that I was just like, man, I got to get out of here. I can't do this anymore. I have 4 daughters. So that was a turning point for me in my career. But I bring that up to tell you that these statistics, this is really happening because I did it for a living. And so the point and the intention that I have in sharing this story is I want people to get their kids out of public school. Like that is the only way to fix this problem. I tried after I left that job to advocate really hard for education reform. I unfortunately spent several years of my life doing it. I don't think public education can be fixed. Government school, it cannot be fixed. The corruption in education is just as bad as the corruption in every other sector of government. And you have the unions and the power and everybody behind it constantly defending them. And there's no reforming it. The only reform you can do is to get your kids out. So I share this with the heart and the intention to protect kids. And, the problem with the school districts is they are their own investigators. They are their own reporters. They are their own judges. They are their own juries.
Investigate themselves.
Like they are their own little, I'm sorry.
I said they investigate themselves,
Yeah.
which means there's no real investigation.
So there's really, yeah, they investigate themselves. So, I share this in the hopes that people will understand that, when you're sending your kids into public school for an education, that are at risk, 1 in 10. I mean, every classroom has more than 10 kids. So statistics are that one child in that classroom that your child is in are going to be sexually assaulted. I mean, the data is there. I've seen it with my own eyes. So, what do we do with this? Why don't people talk about this more? Is it because people don't know? I don't know. What do you think?
That's a fascinating statistic. Just on public schools, I've told the story before, but I always find it fascinating because it's a real story that affected my perception of what goes on in public schools. Had a stepson. He was going to Timberland out there. I think, is that Wentzville, Timberland? Is that in the Wentzville School District? I think it might be. Anyway, he was going to
Yes.
Timberland. He was carrying about a 2.5 grade point average, but we always thought he was really smart. And he came home one day and he said, I want to go to CBC. And I said, CBC, why? And he said, primarily it was around hockey. He played hockey. He wanted to play hockey and he wanted to play at CBC. And we had the means at the time. And I said, well, if you want to go to CBC, I can make that happen if you want to go to CBC. And he said, I do. He goes to CBC. Now, he left in the middle of his junior year with a 2.5 grade point average at Timberland. He goes to CBC in his senior year. He gets a 4.0 grade for the entire year, straight A's for the entire school year, and then gets a scholarship to St. Louis University. And I said, what was the major difference between public school and private school? And his exact words to me was, the private schools cared about me. That's what he said. And I said, what do you mean they care about you? He goes, well, if I'm at Timberland and I don't understand what's going on, I gotta I can't I'm going to miss the bus. I can't have a conversation. I can't email him at night. I can't get any information to make this task of homework easier for me. He said, but at CBC, he goes, if I want to ask a question up until 9:00 at night of any of the teachers, I can email them and say, I don't understand this. Can you help me? Can you guide me in he goes, I was willing to do the work. The teachers were so crappy. This is what he said. The teachers were so crappy. I couldn't understand what they were trying to get across. And then I was lost and there was no way to fix it until it was, too late. He goes, whereas at CBC, they would walk it through. They would tell me where to find the answers from. And it really, and I do love CBC, I must admit, because I think that's a great school. But I got to say, what blew my mind about it was the absolute transformation of a young person who was interested in school, wanted to be smart, wanted to do well, and absolutely couldn't do it until he went to a private school where they gave him the tools for him to get a 4.0 grade point average, which forever changed his life. He went to St. Louis U and he went on to Colorado, got a degree. Ended up being a very bright, studious kid. And I thought, man, just from changing a school, I just didn't know that was going on, quite honestly. Blew my mind. And when you talk about the sexual assault stuff, that goes right back to when I was in high school. I mean, I know these stories. These are people that were in my life. I mean, this is not like I heard this through the grapevine. These are like people that one of them, I knew it was happening when it was happening. I knew that it was going down. She had told me I don't want to get into their personal lives, but she told me it was happening. And the other one I learned out afterwards, that was at a different school. And this was a young man who was 17 years old that was having an affair with a 25-year-old high school teacher. Crazy. And I guess it happens, like you said, way more than people understand it. And what are the repercussions? So when somebody comes in, so you're part of the insurance company, your goal, I guess, along with the attorneys working for the schools, is to pay this thing off or keep it quiet so the parents don't find out. Is that it?
That's right. And, there was a lot of instances, and there's an organization called enoughobuse.org that describes allowing or even encouraging school employees engaged in misconduct to resign. We would see that a lot. Resign in lieu of an internal investigation. They would say, well, just resign. You can go hop to another school district real quick before any of this plays out and, pass the trash. And we would see this a lot, or I would see this a lot, where it would just be like, okay, well, there's this allegation, this teacher would be allowed to resign. They could get a glowing review going to another school district, and they just keep going from district to district, preying on children. And, confidential separation agreements, right? How many times have we heard that? Promises of excellent future letters of references.
Yep.
And then they have all these attorneys in their back pockets just protecting all of them. I mean, the attorneys at the disposal of school districts, I'll call them out. Mickus O'Toole, Tooth Keeney, Ed Council, they're all defending this type of behavior. All of them with our tax dollars.
Yeah, you mentioned one
out there.
And you get yourself in trouble by mentioning them, because one of the ones that you mentioned is the one that I'm aware of. And I just looked at the way this was all working out, and I thought to myself, this feels orchestrated. This doesn't look like it could be happenstance, because I don't understand. I spent a lunch going through documentation with somebody, and they're listening today because you're on the show and they wanted to hear what was going down. But they showed me all the documentation. They showed me the emails back and forth. I got a full understanding of communications going back and forth. And I won't say who, because I don't want to get them in trouble, but which school district, but I know what's going on. And a settlement is made where they are harassing. I'm like,
I know what you're talking about.
Where's the harassment? I don't even know there was no harassment. But she makes the claim harassment, then the attorneys come in and say you got to settle with this woman, and she makes off with a chunk of money. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And it feels like a con. It feels like there's a lot of money in the system, so let's just go get some. Is that what you're taking it as, Lindy? Is that how you see it working?
It is,
and you really believe that? I believe that to be
absolutely.
true. You see it the same way.
Absolutely. And you just have to keep. Yeah, and the thing is the money is our money too. So that's another level of like piss you off, right? Like it's all of our money.
Yeah, makes it even
defending
better.
this, paying him out, all of it. It's us.
Sad but true. All right. Any solution that you can think of other than just getting
and all these school districts next month are asking for tax.
Oh, you're cutting us just a little bit.
I think I'm losing.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit. Yeah, you're cutting just a little bit in and out. Any solutions on your mind, Lindy? And then I'll let you get out of there. Yeah, she can't hear me.
Yeah, pull your kids out of public school. That's the only solution. That's the only solution. And next month, for your voters and your taxpayers that are listening, vote no on all the props that these school districts are trying to throw out there. Don't give them any more money. Don't fund this. Don't fund this anymore.
And aren't they the biggest?
Propo and Winsville vote no. Any prop, just look at.
No on all the props.
Is Winsville the biggest? No on all the props from all the school districts. No, don't fund this. Please stop funding this nonsense.
Yeah, I hear that everywhere. All right, Lindy, we got a little bit of technical problems, so I'm going to let you roll. I appreciate your time. Anytime you want to come on, anytime you have information, get a hold of me.
All right. Thanks,
you got it. Thanks, Lindy. It was a little bit of a delay there, Isaiah. You got it. I couldn't figure out what was going on. She would stop and go, and then I had, is your sound better, Isaiah? Check it out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good now.
There we go.
You looking good and feeling good. Isn't that an interesting story? When I heard that, people were telling me, they said, Rob, the sexual abuse and rape going on in Missouri schools is something you should pay attention to. And I thought, well, I'd pay attention to it if I knew anything about it. What do we know? And then you find out it was that you have these things going on within our schools.
Yeah.
This is a little bit disheartening, isn't it? That would happen in Missouri. You would think Missouri would be middle of the country, common sense folks. You wouldn't have this going on, but apparently we're at the top of the list for sexual assault and rapes. How bizarre is that? I don't know. I find that so.
Yeah, it's why my kids will never go to public school. It's just a government indoctrination center. It's what I've heard before as a joke, right? And
that's how I feel these parents are so trapped. That's the problem. Is if you start to look how the system is laid out, and we'll talk about that again today. How the system is laid out. Most people think it's just the way it is. That there is no central planning. That trillionaires and billionaires and people that control the banking system and the pharmaceutical companies, and that they don't say what's the best system for us. How does this work best for us? How do we keep control? Bernays talked about it. Edward Bernays talked about how a small group of people could control the world through propaganda. We were just talking about Jim Brewer, the comedian. He's putting clips out there and he says, we are conditioned into a system. We can't think past that system. Yeah. You see your parents flipping through the newspapers when you're a kid. They flop you in front of the television. You watch the news back in those days, Cronkite. Then you watch the news as it grows up, and the news becomes your source of information, never thinking that the news is being crafted and orchestrated to keep you conditioned into a thought process. Nobody ever thought that was happening, and now it seems relatively obvious that that's what's been going on for quite some time. That's why I think it's hard to get out of the box, Isaiah.
Yeah, I've heard what she said there. I've heard many times when she's saying that the teachers just go from district to district before there's anything that comes from any investigation. I've heard that many times. I've heard that for many different types of people, police officers, teachers. Someone just said in the chat, Catholic priests, right? Many different instances where before something can be done, they're shuffled along and resign and move on, right?
That's right. Isaiah, how about Donna J? She says, teachers, leave those kids alone. Do you know that song?
Right. Yeah. Yes. Pink Floyd.
Very nice. All right. You're getting better. What I'm going to do.
Hey,
I'm going to send you all of the
teacher, leave those kids alone.
Pretty good. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you all the great classic rock songs of the era. We're going to have to memorize these because we're getting into music before too long. I'm not giving up on the idea that we should be able to play a little.
I agree. Just get out of here, Facebook. We don't want you anyways.
We don't want you anyway. We're going to start playing. I want music. Damn it. I want music. All right, let me get into a couple of advertisers here. JonesWater.com, if you don't mind, Isaiah. JonesWater.com. JonesWater.com.
They got a brand new website.
Do they got a new website rolling?
Yeah, we'll see it here in a second once I get it pulled up.
Very
but
nice.
I thought that was pretty cool.
JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040, 636-899-1040. We love Everett Jones because Everett Jones likes to take care of the health of the customers that he does business with. In fact, I've got my drink right here from his daughter, Marissa Jones Nutrition. She says, Rob, every day, lemon water and electrolytes. That's how you get your day started. Do that before you do your coffee. And here I am following the rules because I got to get in shape. I am just.
My wife wants a dehumidifier already.
There you go. See, everybody knows what's going on. Air and water filtration. That is JonesWater.com. There's their new website. Dehumidifiers, water filtration systems, air filtration systems. It is JonesWater.com. Remember that, JonesWater.com, 636-899-1040. You'll be the filter, or you'll buy the filter, JonesWater.com. If you want to do business with Everett on the Missouri side of the river, St. Charles County, Lincoln, Franklin, Warren, St. Louis, and Jefferson. And if you go to the dark side, the east side, Madison, Monroe, Jersey, and St. Clair. JonesWater.com. He's been a long-time advertiser with us. A great guy. If you have the opportunity to get a new air filtration system or water filtration system, it always remember JonesWater.com. 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 636-899-1040. If you're still drinking tap water, Isaiah, come on. If you're still drinking tap water in the year 2017, I have to ask you, what in the world are you thinking? You can't be watching this show very often if you're drinking tap water at this late date, because if you understand what's in the water, not exactly the most healthy. Would you agree with that, Isaiah?
I mean, look at this. This is cool. He's got it on his. This is a new thing he's got on his website. Is checking the water, right? And this is Wentzville D. Very hard water. I just saw Troy. Clicked on Troy. Apparently, they're under a boil order right now.
He was driving me around, Isaiah. So he gets in the truck with me. He says, Rob, you got to go watch me. And I like him. So we're just hanging out for the day. He put me to work. Isaiah. He had me carrying bags of salt. Isaiah, this is what Everett did to me. Everett, if you're listening, I mean, I should have got at least
those bags of salt.
Carrying the salt. You know what I mean? I was worn out by the end of the day. And the reason he went with me is because I think when I left, I understood how this is his life. He understands what nasty water can do to people. And I just think,
oh yeah,
I like people like that because he's doing it for, he's making a living off of it, but he's doing it for the right reasons. That is Everett Jones, JonesWater.com. And when it's time for an oil change, Isaiah, we have to go to Valvoline Express Care. We all know that, right? When it's time for an oil change, it's Valvoline Express Care. Our good friend Tony Clark, as he likes to say, 15 minutes from bay to on your way. When it's time for an oil change, you don't want to waste a bunch of time. When you get in, you want to get out. You want quick, efficient oil changes, 15 minutes from bay to on your way. No sales pressure, no nonsense. If you do this, if you go to Valvoline-Express Care, Valvoline-expresscare.com, you'll see coupons. Go get your oil change. Tell them we sent you. If we don't see that sticker in your window, Isaiah, it's just, you and I both know it's impossible to be friends with these people. You have to support our advertisers. It is Valvoline Express Care and our good friend Tony Clark. Location.
Rob checks every car in the parking lot and in the windshield before he walks in. If he's speaking at an event, he has to check the windshields. If there's not enough Valvoline Express Cares, he leaves.
Well, what I do is I get lipstick from my wife and I put an X on their window. It means they've been X'd from the proceedings. You got to give me those locations back because I got to read those locations.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Valvoline-Express Care for coupons. Valvoline Express Care. My good friend Tony Clark, locations in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Highland, Illinois, Troy, Illinois, Lemay Ferry Road, Warrenton, Missouri, Mid Rivers Mall Drive, St. Peter's Parkway. Valvoline Express Care. When it's time for an oil change, it's always Valvoline Express Care and our good friend Tony Clark. And then rackcustomcoatings.com. Again, one of our listeners just had this done. I got to get pictures of it and see what it looks like. And what's going on with my camera, Isaiah?
Same thing I've always told you.
Going away and glowing and going. But they're the same place they always are. It's never happened to me before. What is going on in the world?
Well, it's the autofocus and the auto white balance and the auto ISO. You're gonna have to get someone in there to manually set the settings so they stay the same.
I kind of look like a mythical figure with it.
Oh yeah. No, it's your future's looking bright.
My future, but then it goes down and I'm sitting still. I'm not even moving.
It's auto ISO, auto white balance.
I got to figure this out. I'll just glow like one of the Jason.
Just like an angel.
Rob, I'm gonna have to live with it. Rackcustomcoatings.com. RAK customcoatings.com. Locally owned. Rackcustomcoatings.com. coatings.com. Locally owned and operated. We just had one of our listeners get their garage flooring done. I got to check that out. You can reach them at 636-398-5040. This is inexpensive in comparison to wood flooring or tiling and the like. Inexpensive, great, long-lasting floors. As he likes to say, we install industrial strength, long-lasting coatings built to handle anything your home or business can throw at it. And from garages to commercial spaces, RAK Custom Coatings delivers tough, beautiful finishes that last, where quality meets craftsmanship. 636-398-5040. 636-398-5040. This is our good friend Rich McQuay. I got to tell you, if you do it for your home, businesses, obviously, I mean, you're going to have to get your flooring done at some point. If you own warehouse or industrial space, at some point, you got to get your flooring done. Easy decision here because it's inexpensive and you got a guy that's been around since 2001, somebody you can trust, somebody a part of the show. RAKCustomCoatings.com. But if you want to do something for your house and you can get your garage flooring done, I just got to tell you, it makes a huge difference in the way your home looks. Curb appeal goes through the roof. 636-398-5040. 636-398-5040. RAK, RAK, CustomCoatings.com. All right. I got to do the Palantir one, Isaiah. This is another big story that I wanted to check on people. Again, we're at that time where if you can do this for us, we'd really appreciate it. I was watching Sean Ryan do this. You were right. They all do this. And you tell me I'm terrible at it and I don't do it enough. You say, Rob, listen, this is what I do for a living. This is what Isaiah tells me when we're speaking privately. No, you don't want to do that. No. Rob, no, I do this for, I know what I'm talking about. You're old and stupid and I'm not. And
I would say that.
That's what you say. You say it with your eyes. I say, I see it in your eyes. And you say, listen, all these things have been tested, tried. I know what I'm doing. You have to remind people to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And you have to do it often. And then I watched this Sean Ryan, and as soon as he gets done, he pleads with everybody to like, share, comment, and subscribe. He said it's the only way it works is if you like, share, comment, and subscribe. He goes, it happens in that order. And if you want to have a successful podcast, you have to do these things because when you're talking about elections and you're talking about what's going on with Israel, certain things the algorithms don't like. They don't like that information being spread, so they work against you. So you have to constantly remind the audience that they are.
That's how the ants can organize in a digital fashion.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I don't like when you call me dumb. It's not nice.
This is what you're looking like right now. Hey, Peter.
I'm gonna these lights out right now. Make a move while we're talking. How's that?
Oh, it looks great. It's just the auto adjusting because you're wearing the dark shirt.
I thought it was because I went out on the pool on Saturday and got some sunshine on me.
That's probably what it is. It's like I don't know what to do now. Don't know what to do. What? Is he tan? Is he pale? Which one?
There was a time between 25 and 35. You know, when I thought I was young and had everything going on right, I'd walk out to the pool and I'd take my shirt off nice and slow, like I was in some kind of teen movie.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it when I went yesterday.
Cut off sleeves too, right?
I'm 56 years old now, and I go to the pool and I look around and make sure nobody's looking. I kind of hide behind the chairs before I take the shirt off, and I slide down in the chair, and then I do it real fast. Boy, times have changed. Times have changed. But I thought that might be what's going on with the camera was the
tan.
sunshine. Yeah, the tan.
Yeah,
a little tan.
The Sunshine State, baby.
All right, let's do.
Rena said it's the Holy Spirit giving you the love.
The Holy Spirit. Oh, of course it is. Of course, it's the Holy Spirit. No doubt about it.
It's true right there. Speak the truth. Yep.
There you go. Speak the truth, says Rob. I think it's worth pointing out that a lot of the reason people don't know about the sexual abuse is because of NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. NDAs are a real problem, it appears.
Yes.
And the money that goes into these schools is just unbelievable when you know. It is crazy. I think that's the biggest part of the budget is DESE, right? I think DESE is where all the money goes, which is the school systems. All right, let's talk about this Palantir one because I found this just a way to tie things together for people. What I love to do is with our loyal audience is give you the ability to make these arguments and make them simple. That's why we talk about them a lot. I always say I can get caught up in 1,000 different narratives and they may be exciting to you. I think they're dopey and I just can't get into dopey narratives. Like I can't speak about aliens for long. I'll show you how ridiculous it is that they're talking about aliens and you may think there's aliens. I don't. All right. I don't think there's aliens. There might be something going on, but they're not aliens from another planet, at least in my opinion. And I think these are silly narratives that are used to distract people. And then they tell you they're going to have a governmental investigation and the House is going to do this and the Senate's going to do this. It never amounts
to MK Ultra investigation now, right?
The MK Ultra investigation is telling us things that we've known for 50 years. They're not telling us anything new. And when you see these things happen and you get a little bit older, you start to recognize if you're a news junkie like I am, you start to recognize that these stories never amount to anything, right? I think a lot of people believe, I got to say, quit doing that too, where I say right at the end, make me stop doing that. That's not good, right? I'm not going to do that anymore. But I look at like September 11th. Do people think that this was, do people really believe it was the way it was sold, Isaiah? Do people think that this story where Building 7 implodes upon itself wasn't orchestrated in advance? And if you watch Building 7 go down, can you just recognize 100% certain that that was an implosion, a planned implosion? I mean, does anybody think differently? You'd almost have to be too stupid to survive in life to look at Building 7 and think that that was from an airplane that landed a few blocks away from it and knocked this building down, right?
Yeah, what about all the other buildings that were around
exactly.
it?
It's just
like, what?
It's just so dumb and so absurd, but you have to play along with it because that's what the propaganda tells you. The propaganda tells you this is what happened. You have to play along in the game. And it's like I said, you have to play along in the fiction. I don't want to play along in the fiction. We create our own narratives here. We see the world through a lens. We try to describe it to you. If you see the world through that lens, you're going to like what we're talking about. If you see the world through the Fox News and CNN lens, you're not going to like what we have to say. You're just going to think that we're making stuff up, that we're conspiracy theorists and the like. I want to lay this out for you. Okay. When I like Tucker Carlson's show for the most part. I think Tucker Carlson gives us a lot of good information. I'm a fan of the talent level of Tucker Carlson. I think it's very difficult to read through a teleprompter for 10 or 15 minutes and nail it. I could do, honest to God, Isaiah, I could not read from a teleprompter for 10 or 15 minutes and nail it like Tucker Carlson does if I started trying now. If you gave me a year to try to master it, maybe I could do it. But I tried to do a voiceover for Unite for Freedom the other day. Just a voiceover took me 2 hours just to do the voiceover, and there's no camera on me. Just reading script and making it sound appealing is difficult to do, much less read into a camera and read from a script and sell it as though you're just talking to a person that's standing there in front of you is very difficult to do. Tucker Carlson is great at it. So the talent level I like. But I don't trust him for some reason. So there's just something gnawing at me from the inside that says something is not right with Tucker Carlson. There's two things, and we talk about him all the time. There's two things that make me question Tucker Carlson. Number one, when he said he didn't know that his dad was in the CIA. When he said he didn't know his dad was in the CIA, I'm not, well, he's lying, but why would he lie?
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows that your dad was in the CIA. What are you talking about? You're in the news business for your entire life, and you don't know that your dad was working for the CIA, Voice of America? You didn't know that? That's impossible to believe. For me, that's impossible to believe. You can believe it. I don't. And then second is his love affair with J.D. Vance. Now, how can a person that's in the news understand the news or get CNN and Fox News and go on C-SPAN and the whole like and come from the Swanson frozen food family, very wealthy family?
That had nothing to do with it though, right?
Right. I'm sure going into the Swanson family had nothing to do with getting into the club, if you will. Wait a minute. Make sure that I get this real fast, Isaiah, because I don't think that people recognize. Nope, that's not it.
Oh, that's a good one too, though.
This is the one I was looking for.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
You and I are not in the big club, so we don't understand it. So when Tucker Carlson says he doesn't know that his dad was in the CIA, and then he says his love affair for J.D. Vance is not to be questioned because J.D. Vance is a great husband, a great father, a great Christian, a great man, and he would never set us astray. I don't trust J.D. Vance. As Isaiah, zero trust J.D. Vance.
Yep.
And that makes me question Tucker Carlson. So let's just do a little bit of research.
J.D. Vance wrote press releases for the Army. You don't think he's a master of propaganda?
Can we do the investigation here real fast? Just nice and easy. I don't need to get into a 3-hour investigation. Just enough information to wet your whistle so that you can go, he's probably right. Then you can go and do your own investigation. You can study for 15 hours on, the archives or on DuckDuckGo or wherever you want to get your information. You can find the information that will support what we're getting ready to tell you. All right, let's start with Thomas Massie, clip number 12. Thomas Massie is walking out in Washington, D.C. He's getting interviewed, and he makes a comment about Jeffrey Epstein and former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. Clip number 12, Isaiah. Let's just start it here.
There's going to be a lot of revelations still to come out over what Epstein did and his connections to government officials in Israel. There's the audio tape of Jeffrey Epstein advising Ehud Barak on how to leverage the things that he did while he was in office once he becomes a private citizen to extract favors from people.
Mm-hmm.
So during the Epstein files release, there is an audio release verified by our own government where Jeffrey Epstein is recommending that Ehud Barak go make a living from who, Isaiah? Do you remember who he was talking about?
From talking to Ehud Barak, Jeffrey Epstein was talking to him. Didn't he say Palantir? Yeah.
How bizarre is that?
Mm.
And who runs Palantir?
Yeah.
Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel financed who to be president? Oh, he financed Donald Trump to be president. Who did he finance to be the VP? Oh, he financed JD Vance to be VP. And who is the one that introduced Stargate on the first day of their presidency? That was Donald Trump. And who sat before him? Larry Ellison and Sam Altman, Zionist, connected to the state of Israel. ABC. Where's my ABC? Let me find it. Hold on.
It's now the Central Israeli Agency, Rob.
Here we go. Let's just tie it all together for everybody.
ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3.
ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. It's just a nice, easy. They're all connected. It is a big club, and you are not in it.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3.
There it is.
No, we need Warenberg now, right?
So you have Thomas Massey walking along. He says, even in the Epstein releases, you could hear former Prime Minister of Israel speaking to Jeffrey Epstein about getting on boards after he leaves office, talking about Ehud Barak, and teaming up with Palantir and Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, who is in love with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's in love with JD Vance. JD Vance is from Palantir. Palantir is Peter Thiel. Stargate is Sam Altman and Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison and Sam Altman from Israel. And you start to see how the game is played. It is fascinating because it's so simple. That's why I think it's fascinating. Simple, easy. Can't explain it to people because they're too worried that they're going to miss Jesse Waters at 7 o'clock and they're going to miss, who's the one at 8 o'clock? Is that Laura Ingraham at 8 o'clock or Sean Hannity, whoever they got on that station now? They get caught up in those narratives. I watch these people. Some of these people are actually in the news business, right? They're spreading information and they're getting information out to their listeners. And I listen to them and I'm thinking, my Lord, they don't know anything about anything that matters. All they know is what Fox News shoved down their throat in the past 24 hours. And then they go on to their radio shows or their podcast or their social media and regurgitate the exact same nonsense that they learned on Fox. It's just incredible, Isaiah.
Someone needs to make a parody of like, those drug commercials where it's like, are you feeling this way? Are you, they need to make a parody where it's, the federal government is the drug, are you
I've got so many ideas on how to explain this to people. We got to figure out a way to be able to afford to do the videos that are in my mind.
Yeah.
You got to remember, Isaiah,
like the JP Sears stuff.
Before we get into this, like the JP Sears, but you got to remember, I'm playing anywhere from 10 to 20 clips every day for the last 5 years running. I have so much information in this skull of mine of clips and information that I can tie stories together through clips and through commentary that would blow people's minds, except cutting them all up and doing these types of things, a 5 or a 10-minute deal like this Ian Carroll does. I don't have the ability to do number one. So if I have to pay somebody to do it, you're talking about, $1,000 every time you're trying to do it. We don't have the money to do it, but boy, could we tell a story if well-financed enough to get those stories out, because it is really easy. It's easy to understand. It's just that it's never sold to people, and we don't get the same repetition as a Fox News does.
And our attention span is we're in the microwave generation too. So it's, I need it right now. Amazon, buy now.
I could tell the whole story with some of these people in 10 minutes. It would blow their minds of how easy this is to connect the dots. And I'm not connecting them like it's some wild conspiracy stuff that you already know. It's just that you haven't put the puzzle pieces together. That's what I say. Connect the dots. There you go. Rena Ross Wagner, right on the money. All right. So we hear Massey talking about Ehud Barak. Now let's go to the audio that he's talking about. This is Jeffrey Epstein speaking to former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, Prime Minister of Israel, about Peter Thiel and Palantir. Check this out. Clip number 12.
There was two cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel. And everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts sort of strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah. He looks under drugs.
However, he has a company called Palantir. Pallen. T-I-E-R.
Yes, spelling wasn't his strong suit.
And Lookout.
Palantir, Palantiel?
Yes.
How you write Thiel? Thielley?
Thiel.
Yeah. Lly.
No. Thiell.
Can you pause it?
Okay.
Yep.
So he thought that.
Now, I just would ask my Trump supporters, just very quickly, just think through this for just a second, just for a second. Jeffrey Epstein is on video dancing with Jeffrey Epstein. He was friends with Jeffrey Epstein till he supposedly kicked him out of his club in Mar-a-Lago. Okay, so we've established that. Jeffrey Epstein was killed in prison after Trump supposedly killed, after Trump put him there. The story was completely covered up by Bill Barr, whose father was Donald Barr, who hired Jeffrey Epstein at the Dalton School in New York. And Donald Barr was with the OSS, which was the predecessor to the CIA. And now we move forward just a little bit, and you have Donald Trump funded by Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance funded by Peter Thiel. And on audio, you have Jeffrey Epstein telling Ehud Barak to find Peter Thiel for money when he gets done being the prime minister of Israel. And you can't see what's going on here. You can't see the big club, Isaiah. Why can people not see the big club?
Yep.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Why can't people see it? Why is that? Why wouldn't people ask that question? Like, for example, if that were Barack Obama, same scenario, conservatives and libertarians would lose their minds. They would want justice so bad.
I saw a comedian on a popular show called Kill Tony. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Yeah. And it was, they pull random people out of this bucket, and just random people come up and try a 1 minute set and then they get judged, and a lot of stuff can happen from there. Anyways, this guy got up there and they're like, "Hey, what do you do for work? We're just curious." And he goes, "Well, I got to be honest. I'm a child of nepotism. My dad was a New York State assemblyman, and I found myself in a job," right? He never said what he did. He didn't say anything, but he admitted, he said, "Yeah, I got a job just because my dad was a New York State representative." And so it's, that's someone just admitting it. We all know that, right? But for someone to come out and say that, it's, good on him for saying it and acknowledging it, right? Yeah. But we don't really hear many people doing that.
What's even, I just think what's disturbing in this particular instance is that Donald Trump supporters aren't asking these questions. They're mad at us for asking questions that I'm telling you, first-year student in journalism would see these connections and go, wait a minute. So Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of sexually molesting and raping 43 children under the age of 15. The guy that gave him the sweetheart deal, Alex Acosta, down in South Florida, was then brought into the Trump administration, from Harvard, by the way, Alex Acosta, was brought into the Trump administration. Then the Trump administration arrests Jeffrey Epstein. Then he supposedly dies in prison. Nobody believes it because the guards were asleep and the cameras were off. And the person who shuts down the investigation is Bill Barr, the attorney general at the time, whose father was Donald Barr, who hired Jeffrey Epstein and then put the case to bed and was with the CIA and puts it all to bed. That's just one portion of it. Then you go to Ehud Barak, who's been videotaped going in and out of Jeffrey Epstein's home in Manhattan many different times. He's the prime minister of Israel. And then you have the prime minister of Israel on a recorded of what country, Isaiah? Was that the one that Phil Turney doesn't like? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
So the prime minister of Israel, who's hanging out with a prolific pedophile, right? Ehud Barak, Jeffrey Epstein, hanging out together. And then they are talking about bringing Peter Thiel into the equation from Palantir, which was funded by In-Q-Tel, which is the investment wing of the CIA. And you start to see the circle of people that are working together. And nobody is recognizing how simple this is, and why is nothing being questioned? Why are people not being sent before Congress and asking them, well, wait a minute, A, B, C, easy as 1, 2, 3. Doesn't happen, and it never happens. You know what will happen is a new narrative will come out tomorrow that will distract you, and you'll chase that narrative the way cats chase the laser, right? We're all just cats chasing the laser. I get a t-shirt that says that. We're all just cats chasing the laser. And that's what happens. The game, should you decide whether you want to understand it or not, is up to you. The game is creating narratives just like they create money out of thin air. The narratives are really good. They sell them to their media outlets. The media outlets give you the good guy and the bad guy with every scenario. And then you fight who the good guy or the bad guy is without ever recognizing that that is all being orchestrated in advance. So you don't recognize that you're $40 trillion in debt. Your kids don't know if they're boys or girls, cats or dogs, right? Borders are wide open. You're sticking needles in your arm. You're sick all the time. You're confused all the time. Life is getting more difficult. Your gas is through the roof. I just filled up my gas for a 4-cylinder car and it was $70. Right? Makes life more difficult. That's your government doing. It's not you doing it. It's your government doing it. And the only way the government can get away with it is confusing you and making you determine which one of those people that are running for office is the hero and which is the villain.
Yep.
That's how the game is played.
Speaking of confusion, what do you think about, I don't know if you saw this past weekend, Patriot Front in Washington, D.C. walking around. Are you familiar with them?
No.
They're a right-wing organization. They're the ones who wear the white masks over their face. They all wear the hats, the blue shirts. They all wear sunglasses. You never seen them? They're very popular.
I'm vaguely familiar. You got a picture of
Yeah, let me pull up a picture. But the reason I was asking about it is because talking about confusion, a lot of people really believe that the Patriot Front is the FBI. And that it's, I wouldn't be surprised one bit either.
Infiltrate everything, Isaiah. Everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. I guarantee you in my life right now, there's somebody
These guys right here.
Yeah, there's somebody working for a federal agency that is watching what we're up to.
Yes.
Because when you start talking about organizing, and I don't care anymore. I don't think you care anymore, but it just is what it is, right? You're either going to have a free society and you're going to care about it and you're going to respect it or you're not. For me, I respect it. And I'm like, whatever happens, happens. If there's feds talking to me or there are feds trying to infiltrate me, it's very difficult to do because I tell everybody what I'm doing right here. They don't need to infiltrate very much, right? Everything that we're talking about, we talk about it right here. There's no reason to get any.
No nefarious purposes with us.
It's very simple. We want to get more people to contemplate the realities of their life, understand where this system is taking us. And it is a system. You're on a big ship and that system is taking you in a direction. And you can get bothered by whether you're going to go left or right or whatever, but you're still going in the same direction at the end of the day. They're pulling in the same direction. And everything else is theater. That's why Thomas Massey is appealing to me because he said 99% of everything you hear coming from DC is orchestrated, scripted theater. And I think it's demonstrably so. Don't you, Isaiah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. All right, let's get into, let's finish this. So we did Massey. We did Epstein with Ehud Barak, talking about Peter Thiel. And now we know that Peter Thiel funded Trump in 2016 and J.D. Vance in 2020. And then Trump, who gets $300 million from Miriam Adelson, who's a dual citizen with Israel, where Ehud Barak comes from. That is
who got the VIP treatment this weekend at the Great American State Fair.
That's
Did you
right.
see that?
That's right. And the same nation state that our friend Phil Turney says bombed his ship in 1967. It's all starting to make just a little bit of sense how it's kind of tied together. Mm-hmm. Now let's bring in this woman who did, and we got to check this because I did not have I got this late last night. I couldn't do all the research on it. Maybe we'll have to do it here. But she says, do you know that Tucker Carlson is also connected to Peter Thiel? And I thought to myself, well, that makes perfect sense because boy, does he love J.D. Vance. And there is no reason to love J.D. Vance. The only reason anybody loves J.D. Vance is because the people that you listen to tell you that they love J.D. Vance. Outside of that, J.D. Vance hasn't done jack diddly ding dong for anybody. Nothing.
Came out of nowhere.
Came out of nowhere. He's completely irrelevant. He has less influence over what goes on in reality than my mailman. He's nothing but a political figure and a talking head that is supposed to get your attention, gain your confidence, and take you down whatever path this administration wants to take you down. That's it. That's what JD Vance does. JD Vance, you've never, think about this, Isaiah. You never heard of JD Vance 10 years ago, and he's the odds-on favorite to be the president of the United States, funded by the CIA.
10 years ago, he was basically starting his careers from, he was in the Army, he got out, but his career as we know it in the business world of being this venture capitalist and things like that. 10 years ago, he just started his first position at a venture capital firm.
Exactly. And Peter Thiel's a gay man. Let me ask you this, Isaiah, and not that it matters to my gay friends out there. Not that it matters. But does JD Vance strike you as being maybe a homosexual?
I don't know.
I worked around a lot of gay people.
I always think he's wearing mascara.
I've worked around a lot of
That's
gay
what
people.
I think.
And again, this is not a slight at gay people. This is not where I'm coming from. Be like saying, do you think he is Spanish or do you think he's Mexican? Right? Just my opinion. I think JD Vance comes off as very feminine to me, incredibly feminine to me. Super duper crazy feminine, like could wear blue dresses in the evening if you allowed him to. That's how JD Vance comes off to me. And that's why it makes sense
Bill
that
Clinton?
that's why it makes sense that he'd be teamed up with like Bill Clinton, exactly like he'd be teamed up with Peter Thiel, who's a gay man. Right? All starts to make sense. There are sexual fetishes that are going on that they don't want people to know about, and they get caught up in a web, they get controlled, they get compromised, they get into positions of power. And here we are.
Yeah, and they say a lot of times that, the conspiracy theorists we'll call them, and I'm would be in that group, right? Is that the I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
It'd be awesome. Whatever it was.
I know. I'm trying to do too many things at once and talk, and it distracts me.
Isaiah, I do it all the time. It's a gift because I sometimes remember it, and I'll start talking. I'm like, oh, that's what I was going to say.
In my phone, we get text messages during the show too, and so I'm talking, I'm pulling up a video, and then my phone's going. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
My buddy Kurt's nailed it right here. He says, because if you ask questions, you're a commie Muslim sympathizer, Rob, and that is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. All right, we got to get to this lady. So this lady goes onto social media, and I think she does a really nice job of laying out the connections between Peter Thiel, Tucker Carlson, and JD Vance. Check this out. Clip number 7.
Carlson's father ran a CIA propaganda operation during the Cold War. Tucker Carlson Network received $15 million in seed capital from 1789 Capital, the American venture capitalist firm based in Palm Beach, Florida. Reuters confirmed last September that Peter Thiel was an instrumental force behind the creation of 1789 Capital. Thiel's co-founder network includes Chris Busker, known for his connections to Donald Trump, Blake Masters, protege of Peter Thiel, and Donald Trump Jr. That's who's funding Tucker Carlson. In March 2025, Carlson announced very loudly how he had bought out the other investors. It's important to him that you understand that this platform runs on subscriptions and ad revenue. It's important you understand that the Thiel money was structural. It created the platform. Once the platform exists, the seed capital is no longer needed. Thiel himself co-founded Palantir with CIA seed money. It now has contracts over $10 billion with the US Army alone. This is a man whose entire career has been shaped by intelligence-funded institutions. His narrative only pivots when it serves a strategic interest. Before he was this anti-establishment rebel, he was the establishment. His father was a Marine. He went to a mostly white school in a white enclave in California, a private, upscale white school. His father remarried, and Patricia Swanson, heiress to the Swanson frozen food fortune, was his stepmother. He was legally adopted by her. He was adopted into a dynasty. At the age of 14, he sent to boarding school. The term boarding school syndrome is a real psychological concern. Children who have this experience are wounded with an attachment rupture. When you remove a child from their family at the age of 14, there are serious consequences in that child's development. They build what is called a strategic survival personality. The child learns to suppress any vulnerability and perform competence. This process disconnects the person from their feelings. Professor Joy Shavarian was a psychotherapist and Jungian psychoanalyst. She looked a lot at the developmental impacts of boarding schools. She writes that the ex-boarder grows up to be master of emotional disguise. Psychotherapist Nick Duffel also spent decades studying boarders. Duffel writes that under pressure, boarding school children develop acquired duplicity. This is a structural feature of their personality. It's the ability to present one face to authority while operating a completely different internal logic. This is the psychological architecture that covert intelligence operations are specifically designed to exploit during recruitment. Duffel wrote in the British Psychological Society Journal, the BBC's lavish new television production of John le Carre's The Night Manager opens with a well-spoken but ruthless...
Interesting stuff, is it not?
Yeah.
So let's look it up while we're here, Isaiah, because I got to
Crazy.
figure this out. I haven't had a chance to look. So if you can you pull up 1789 capital?
That's what I was doing when I was getting distracted. I was like trying to
Yes,
pull
I
this
didn't look it
video up.
up.
I was looking up on Grok the 1789 capital. Then I was like, oh, I should say this, and I just completely just still can't remember right now. But I got it pulled up right here on
Baby
Grok.
come back.
I know, baby come back.
Player,
Right.
1970s, 80s player. Any kind of fool could see.
All right, here we
I
go.
was wrong, and I just can't.
So it says 1789 Capital is a conservative venture capital growth equity firm that directly funded Tucker Carlson's media company TCN/Last Country Incorporated and sits at the center of the network connecting Tucker, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, Rebecca Mercer, and Donald Trump Jr. Founded on October 3rd, 2022 in Palm Beach, Florida. First is 1789, the year the U.S. Bill of Rights was adopted. And their philosophy is markets itself as practicing, quote, patriotic capitalism, end quote, and invests in a, quote, parallel economy, end quote, of companies aligned with America First values, not. It explicitly avoids ESG and DEI focused companies. Oh, if you're doing that, then that's America First, right, Rob?
That's how they describe it now.
Targets sectors like AI, defense, space, fintech, media, and consumer brands that fit its world view.
And then who are the key people and founders?
Says Omid Malik, founder and president, Wall Street veteran, runs Farver Partners, strong Trump MAGA supporter. Chris Buskirk, founder and CIO, close confidant of Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance, co-founder of Rockbridge Network.
You don't say.
Rebecca Mercer, the founder, prominent conservative donor from the Mercer family. And DJT Jr., partner, chose this role over a government position.
And what's that say? This has connection to Peter Thiel and the Tucker Carlson story. This is the key bridge from the previous conversation. What previous conversation? Were we having previous conversations, Isaiah?
It
All right. What's it say?
grew out of the Rockbridge Network, a conservative donor group co-founded by Chris Buskirk and J.D. Vance. So 1789 Capital grew out of that Rockbridge Network.
So what you're seeing is J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel funding Tucker Carlson speaking out against Donald Trump. Remember when he was speaking out against Donald Trump and then he would show up in the White House? You're like, wait a minute. I thought Donald Trump, if you said one negative word about you and you hadn't apologized for just his ring, that he would have you thrown out and put into solitary confinement. Yet Tucker Carlson could say the nastiest things about Donald Trump, then go into the White House and take pictures with him the next day and they're shaking hands. This makes a little bit more sense now.
It's interesting that it happened in October 2023. Isn't it? That's when October 7th happened. I don't know if there's any. I'm just as a conspiracy theorist myself.
There you go.
Yeah, just as a conspiracy theorist, it's just interesting that the Capitol came that month.
So wait a minute, let's just think about it. So October 7th happens, which is the predecessor to the war with Iran. This is after Charlie Kirk has been killed, the most influential conservative speaking to young people who was speaking out against the war with Iran. And then you have Peter Thiel, who funded J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, now a surrogate and a funder of Tucker Carlson. And I think to myself, you think anybody else can see it, Isaiah, or are we just being conspiracy theorists here?
I'm hoping they can see it and we can wake them up a little bit.
Why Palantir and Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance and all of these people, why are they not supporting the Rob Carter show? Huh?
Yeah, why not? We're asking the right questions.
I'll put on the tiny hat. I'll do what I got to do. Going to cover that ever so growing bald spot in the back of my head anyway.
That's what it's for. Don't you know that, Rob? That's what it's for. It's just to cover the bald spots. Okay.
You got to admit, come on, Isaiah. You have to admit this is amazing stuff. It is incredible. And how funny was it? We were just talking about this. I did not know this 1789.
Me neither.
I didn't know anything about it.
Me neither.
And it makes perfect sense though, because Peter Thiel funded Vance and Trump both, right? And then in the second, I got to quit doing that with the right. I got to stop doing that. And then in the second term, Miriam Adelson gives him $250-300 million. And now all of a sudden, he's the complete opposite person, yet he's using Peter Thiel's technology, and so is Israel.
Yep. It says here that the assets under the management of 1789 Capital, speaking of that, exploded after Trump's 2024 win. Reports show it growing from roughly 150 to 200 million to over 1 billion by September 2025. And then it's reportedly reached over 3.5 billion by mid 2026.
I am not a mathematician, but I want to do the math here. So it started at roughly 150 to 200 million dollars, and in 2 years, it's now worth 3.5 billion dollars.
Yep.
So what I'm to take from this?
Yes.
And we think that this is normal, right? This means if somebody I know has 150 or 200 million dollars, or a bank, that within 2 years they could turn it into 3.5 billion dollars without some kind of inside information or inside investment.
They also invest in Polymarket.
Of course they do. I mean, you're talking about one of the largest scams ever in the history of the world, happening right underneath the nose of American citizens day in and day out, and nobody even talks about it. You will not hear it on Fox News. And as the title of the show reminds everyone, the revolution will not be televised. This is us knowing it, because this is another thing, Isaiah, that I talk about. I used to talk about on the podcast and the radio show. If a nuclear bomb went off in Idaho and Fox News and CNN didn't cover it, would anybody even believe it?
No.
Right? They knee-jerk reaction to get their news from sources they know aren't telling them the truth. They know have been lying to them about everything, including COVID. Again, to my Fox News viewers, I just want you to think about it. If you're a Donald Trump supporter, don't you believe the election was stolen in 2020? And don't you think that starts with a D and ends with Ominion? That group might have had something to do with the election theft. And if it had something to do with the election theft, isn't it kind of crazy to think that Fox News would give them $787 million versus fighting their case in court? Huh? Anybody? Bueller, is this thing on? How many attorneys do you think you could buy for $787 million? Do you think that you could cover your case and get pretty good attorneys to fight against what everybody knew was fraud with those systems for $787 million? Why, in your humble opinion, Fox News viewers, would Fox give Dominion $787 million versus taking them to court when they had all of the information in their back pocket? Oh, I know why. You know why, Isaiah? Because when I went to the radio station and I said the word Dominion out loud, they go, no, don't ever say Dominion. Don't say Dominion. Whatever you do, don't say Dominion. Didn't you see what happened to Fox News? We don't want to get in any trouble. That's what every radio station and television station in the country was saying, because Fox News settled for $787 million, which put the fear of God in anybody that wanted to talk about it. So you don't talk about elections, and what happens? They go away. It's the narrative building. That's why, Isaiah. Sad but true. But
Fox News.
I've got to get up until nobody in the world watches Fox News. I will not be happy. When everybody turns off Fox News and says, I won't even, if a commercial for Fox News comes on and turn off my television set, then I will be happy.
Yeah.
So long as there's one person in the world that continues to watch Fox News, I will not be happy. Fox News is the best at it. That's why people watch them. They are so full of it, and everybody that watches it is dumber immediately. Doesn't mean you're a dumb person, but it means after you watch it, you're just a little bit dumber than when you started. That is a fact. Let me get that going for you fast, Isaiah.
I have a quick question.
Nope, that one.
That's the fact, Jack.
Fat Jack.
I need somebody to work my board here. I'm screwing it up today. So what do you think of the Palantir thing? You think we're onto something? You think people will, anybody will tie that together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what Grok was saying when I was asking because I was curious, right? Like you're saying, these narratives, how aware are people of what's going on? So I started with the first question I asked Grok. I said, how is Tucker Carlson connected to Peter Thiel? I wondered if it would tell me anything. And it said, it just said, oh, these people, Tucker Carlson and Peter Thiel are connected through media appearances, political networks, and brief 2023 discussions.
Oh, you had to find it.
There is no evidence of deep ongoing business partnerships. That's what it said the first time. And then I asked, and I said, what about 1789 Capital? That's all I asked. And then it spat out all that information that we just read about. Mm-hmm. So if you just go surface level, you'll probably not find what you're looking for. No. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you'll find what you're looking for.
Dig a little bit. Dig a little bit. You know that song? It's Give a Little Bit, but close enough.
Oh, okay.
Supertramp, Isaiah. We're gonna get you settled up here before too terribly.
You gotta get my playlist ready, and I gotta do my homework.
I'm gonna say you're gonna be a 70s pop or 70s classic rock champion before I'm done with you. 100%. We're going to get that done.
True.
And by the way, I worked for about 6 or 7 hours on Sunday on the pre-roll for the show. So if you're a daily listener and you don't like the 10-minute countdown, we have to have Isaiah again. I said, do we need the 10-minute countdown? He goes, Rob, listen, I'm smart. You're not. We need the 10. It's been proven. Right,
well, we don't need the countdown as it is
I'm
right now.
smart. You're not. We're going to do the countdown because I know what I'm doing. You just have to leave the technical things to me, Rob, because you're old and you're dumb.
No.
I can see it in your eyes. You don't say
I don't think you're old enough.
I can see it in your eyes.
I'm just confident in what I know.
I know. I'm teasing you, of course. I'm just teasing you. But having said that, I do like the idea of a pre-roll that is of entertainment value. So what we're going to do, what show are we on right now? What show are we on?
56. Can you believe it?
And I'm 56 years old. Seems like a quick amount of time, right? So 56 shows that we've done. So we're going to go back. We're going to find interviews that we've done, commentary that we've done. We're going to tie it together as a pre-roll. So from now on, when you go to therobcartershow.com, which is where everybody should go, you go to therobcartershow.com, and when you hit listen, instead of getting the 10-minute countdown, which is just a little music playing, you'll get a pre-roll of conversations, interviews, and commentary that we've had in the past. So it feels like you're listening to a show, and then we'll transition that right into our live show for the day. So if you're a listener, like I like radio, Isaiah. So, I don't watch any of these podcasts, right? I didn't watch the Candace Owens, Sean.
Oh, no, I was
still busy.
Most people.
I had it on my phone, and I was walking around, and I was listening to it while I was on my phone. I sometimes
it's a lot less now, but still more people listen than watch podcasts. It's slowly changing, but it's still the majority.
I don't watch any of them. I really don't. I don't watch any of them. I listen to them. I might watch them for a minute or two, and then I set the phone down or whatever, and then I go. But I want the listening experience to be good because I think my background is more suited to radio than it is for television. I don't like to read script. I'm getting older. I'm not nearly as handsome as I once was, if I was ever, but I'm certainly not anymore. I'm getting to that age where it just, it's going fast, Isaiah. I mean, it is running away. If you understand what I'm saying, it is feet don't fail me now kind of thing going on. So I want to do radio. I want it to feel like radio, but I want to do it in the podcast format because that's where the action's at. And I think you know this as well as I do, Isaiah. The radio business is on its last wheel. It's just on its last wheel. People are just not, young people who do not listen to the radio. As they grow up, they are social media people. They are podcast people. And as they grow and grow and grow, radio and television is going to go slower and slower and slower into the trash can. Would you agree with that, Isaiah?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know I worked with the people who put out the ratings for TV and radio. I know the CEO of the company who does that for all the major networks. And it's not good. That's all I'll say. It's not good for if you're in that business, right?
It's because it's contained, right? It's contained.
Yes.
You listen to radio. It's that damn radio. We should try to get on that damn radio. Remember that lady in
the DAM one?
Yeah,
yeah.
We don't do commercials down there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I should talk to them at some point and see when there's a.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is that at some point we'll be able to get in, like Alex Jones is. His show, his main show is the streams, but. He finds networks that want to broadcast the show and they take it, and there'll be plenty of opportunities like that, I think, around the country for us.
It must be tiny because I always play around on the radio when I'm traveling. I've never heard Alex Jones on the radio, not one time ever.
It's all just random, It's like when Thomas Massey says he's going to be on the radio and you're like, what station?
Right.
I've never heard of this. You know what I mean? But it's just local radio stations. We all don't know.
I like the idea of being on those independent radio stations throughout the country. That'd be nice. We should look into that. So I don't know how you go about that, but I'm thinking if we create 3 hours of content, they can take an hour of it if they want, put it wherever they want. We don't charge them anything. It's just to get the message out. I got to think that's a good idea for radio stations around the country. Wouldn't you think?
Oh, yeah.
I got to think there's some like independent radio stations out in the middle of Ohio that would love this content.
That's what Real Talk did with Charlie Kirk show.
Yeah.
So it's, they took Charlie Kirk show and they played it on the radio because they just made a deal with them.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's right. And I liked it until he was gone.
I know. Me too.
All right. What do we want to talk about? Now let me get the Carrington Financial in here real fast.
We got a couple more advertisers.
All right. Carrington Financial, your caring advisor. He'll be on tomorrow at 11. Again, if you have not heard Rick Babbitt's talk about finances, you should. He understands the currency. He understands the game. He understands it better than just about anybody I've ever spoke to. And I'm not somebody who's into financial matters too terribly much. I need somebody to guide me. We basically turned our money over to Rick Babbitt's, and we took a little
feedback that people want us to talk about finance a little bit more. Or if not,
he's nervous too because we got to do that disclaimer, and I couldn't get the disclaimer last time. But I do want to get into financial conversations, maybe get some questions in advance that he can answer. But he's a brilliant guy. I think primarily because he understands history so well. That's why I find him so fascinating. And he can tie that into the markets. He can tie it into currency. He can tie it into everything. Rick Babbitts is a very well-studied guy. And as he says, Rob, I'm not a cookie cutter financial guy. You got to understand that about me. Most of the time when you go to a financial advisor, they're going to tell you pretty much the same thing. And some of them are going to be a little bit deceptive because they can make money on products, if you understand. So they'll want to sell you something that they're going to get a high commission on and explain to you why that's good for you. And they'll kind of, they'll, I don't know, hijack a conversation in a direction that will take you into what is the best commission rate for them. He said, I can't do that. I'm a fiduciary. He said, but secondly, I wouldn't do it anyway. He goes, I'm trying to make the best decision based on your risk tolerance. And he's just really good at it. The people that I've sent have been very happy with him. Rick Babbitts, 314-671-0525. If you are nearing retirement, you got to get his opinion. Get a second, get a third, get a fourth opinion. Does not matter to me. I just ask that you call Rick Babbitts, get his opinion on your money, on your investments, and see what you think. 314-671-0525. 314-671-0525. Or you can check him out at yourcaringadvisor.com. Biblical principles with your money. It's my man, Rick Babbitts, 314-671-0525. And then I've got to get Dr. Helen Gelhart in very quickly. Dr. Helen, if you're listening, I think she was going to get me somebody, an interview with somebody that she thought would be really good for the show, and I haven't heard back. So I'm still got that time available for you, Helen. If this guest wants to come on, we'll make the time for him. AdvancedWellnessMed.com. This is our good friend, Dr. Helen Gelhart. As she says, we like to assist with the divine healer, very spiritual woman. Feel, think, look better, live longer. AdvancedWellnessMed.com. Very quickly, we say it every day, but if you're a first-time listener, we got to get this across to you. If you know somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia, somebody who is suffering, somebody who you're thinking, something's not going to the top floor all of a sudden, you got to make that call, and you got to make it now. You got to make it quick. Symptom reversal for Alzheimer's and dementia. Dr. Helen Gelhart, AdvancedWellnessMed.com. She also has the earliest cancer detection blood test available. They give pre-screenings for heart attacks and strokes. Anything that kills you, she specializes in. And the most attractive thing about Dr. Helen Gelhart and her practice is she's not beholden to hospital administrations. She can treat you the right way. She's not boxed in. If she thinks this is going to be a good treatment for you, she can send you wherever she wants to go. She is not boxed in by these hospital administrators. And you can tell she's a good woman, and they run a great practice because that's where the money's at. That's where you get hooked up to these hospital administrations, and the money starts flowing, and that's why all the doctors gravitated toward them. Only the great ones, in my humble opinion, Isaiah. This is my opinion. Still free to have it.
Yep.
We're still good.
So far,
so good. Okay, if it's
250th anniversary of America, we are still allowed to speak freely.
Allowed to have an opinion. Okay, my opinion is that the people that got away from the hospital administrations and can treat the people that they see based on what they think is best for that patient and not what is best for the hospital administration or the insurance companies, those are my people. Helen Gelhart is one. Dr. Helen Gelhart, 314-576-0094, AdvancedWellnessMed.com, AdvancedWellnessMed.com, and our good friend, Dr. Helen Gelhart. Okay.
The promise I have with these hospital administrations too is that when they recommend someone, they can only recommend someone within their network, and so they can't actually get you the best doctor. They can only get you what's the best doctor you have within our network is really how it works, and that's a big problem to me.
Amen. And then
yes, James, I love it.
James nailed it. The revolution will be vodcasted by Rob with 2 B's, Carter, and I got made fun of that over the weekend again.
Rob.
A lot of people are calling me Rob. I'm fine with it.
I saw you posted a picture with your favorite commentator.
Yeah, that's
our show.
He's not still on here. He's playing golf. He doesn't. By this time, he's playing golf every day. This guy's great. So he gets up at like 2 a.m. because he wants to be at work at 3. He owns a glass company, and then he goes and he puts in glass. He's been doing this forever, and he's done by 11. Then he tees off at noon.
Oh,
and he always makes the excuse that he gets beaten by me so badly because he's tired by the time he gets there because he's been putting glass in all day. And I say, no, it's not that. It's just that you're so short off the tee. You know what I'm saying? Some guys can't hit the ball very far. You're one of them. I mean, he hits his driver like I hit a good 8-iron. If I smash an 8-iron, I can hit as far as his driver. Right? So that's why he can't beat me. It just has to do with pure power.
He just plays the old man golf. That's
what I call it. He has no power.
Just keep it down the middle.
And I, of course, can bang it. I can get it out there a little bit, Isaiah. You understand what I'm saying? Even at 56, I can whack it a little bit. All right. Let me see here. Where do we want to go? I want to go to G. Edward Griffin. Okay, now this is a guy that I'm supposed to have on the show. Let me check while you're putting this up. So this is G. This is a long clip, but I want to play as much of it. Maybe we'll break it up, but I want to get into this today. G. Edward Griffin, if you pay attention to him. Now, this kind of bridges decades. He started talking about this in the 60s. Started talking about communism, started talking about authoritarian control, started talking about the Federal Reserve, and he ties a lot of this stuff together. And I think he's 94, Isaiah. Look him up and tell me how old he is. G. Edward Griffin. G. Edward Griffin. I want to say he's 94 years old. Take a look at him real fast. The creature from Jekyll Island. I absolutely love his. He's one of these guys that tells you the world is coming to tells you the world's coming to an end because of the Federal Reserve. He doesn't really. I'm just teasing. But he talks about these really, I don't know, depressing things that are going on in our country and does it with a smile and with a lightheartedness that I absolutely love. I'm a huge fan. I was supposed to have him on the show. He actually booked a time with me, Isaiah, and then he didn't show up. And when he's
oh man,
yeah, he reached out to the next day and he goes, Rob, I'm so sorry. I got caught up in this or that and the other. And he goes, and I lost track of it. I'll have him back on the show at some point.
Army veteran too, looks like.
He's just a wonderful, wonderful, just a wonderful guy. But his information and the information that he's brought out over the years, I think, has changed an entire generation's vision of what America really is versus what we're sold on our television sets. But here he is, G. Edward Griffin. I'm going to give you just a little bit of this. We'll stop it and pause it. But he's talking about the Federal Reserve. He's talking about many different things that we talk about on this show. Tell me whether you think he's convincing or not, Isaiah. 94 years old. What's he trying to get out of it, you think? Right? This is just the guy that's trying to tell you. 94 years
He's
old.
a shill.
Telling American citizens what's going on in their country. He's been doing it for 50, 60 years. I think at some point we should pay attention to him. Here he is, G. Edward Griffin. Clip number 4. Go.
He doesn't mind us knowing about how bad things are anymore. They want us to know. They like it when we say, oh, here's something else. Did you know? Well, you talk about child molesting. Oh, here's a...
He said the oligarchy. We just got a little bit early. He says the oligarchy does not care if you see them anymore. The oligarchy does not care. And we are run by oligarchies. I think most people listen to the show understand that by now. Run by oligarchies. Now, here is what G. Edward Griffin has to say about our system and how fast it's moving. And now, as Whitney Webb said, Isaiah, now they don't even care that you know. Now they're going to let you talk about it. Now they're going to let it out into the public because they are going to smear it in a manner that makes you feel helpless anyway. So now they don't even care whether you know. This is G. Edward Griffin. Go.
Latest story on that.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children.
Or somebody murdered. Oh, it was brutal murder. Well, these people are Satanists. Did you read about that?
I think these Epstein files give us new information to look into the Anthony Weiner laptop. Yeah. I absolutely want to know what was on there, what was the secret folder that was titled Life Insurance, that had frazzle.rip, where people get the frazzle drip story from. And
they want this information out circulating. They want us to know that our schools are in the hands of the enemy.
Ooh, if you don't like these, you know what's really gonna burn your biscuits? I don't have an American flag anywhere in my classroom either. Oh no!
They want us to know that our media systems are in the hands of the enemy.
The Press Data Download, brought to you by Pfizer.
On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet, sponsored by Pfizer.
You know, COVID vaccines are now available for children 5 years and older. And the more people who get them, the better we're going to be able to help stop the spread of COVID.
They want us to know that many of our churches are in the hands of the enemy.
Jesus called himself a mother hen longing to gather up her chicks. Gender is a construct, you see. And if Jesus can be a mother hen, then you can dress in drag.
And the military is in the hands of the enemy.
To our steadfast partner, Israel, your mission is being executed with unmatched skill and iron determination.
And on and on and on. They want us to know that because they are quite excellent students of warfare. And I'm sure they've all read Sun Tzu's book, The Art of Warfare. And I'm sure, Jesse, you know that very well. Most people who get serious about this topic have read Sun Tzu's The Art of War. And one of the principles of Sun Tzu is so stunningly clear. He said, supreme excellence in warfare is to defeat your enemy without having to engage him in battle. How do you defeat your enemy without engaging him in battle? Answer, ding. You convince him that it's too late. He couldn't possibly win. So you just give up without any resistance whatsoever.
But this is the year for the average. 66% being pessimistic now and for the future is a record high in the 17 years we've been doing this. So we've never found people more depressed.
Ding. This is the mental attitude of 99% of the awake people in the world.
Is there a deep state? Yes. Can we fire these people? No. Can presidents fire them? No. It's designed that way so that political parties and political interests cannot affect the deep state. Do you understand the nightmare of our situation, people?
You can imagine the ones that aren't awake yet. But once they get awake, they say, oh, it's over. What's the point? You know, they've seen too many Star Trek movies where the Klingon said, resistance is futile.
I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over.
And that is the level of warfare that's being waged against the world right now, today. Back to your question, is it too late for revolution? Well, if we can't crack what I just said and let people know that they're being victimized by psychological warfare as much as, if not more than, physical warfare and all these horrible weapons that they do have, they have no intention of using these weapons. They don't want to use these weapons.
Pause it, Isaiah.
But they want to scare people.
He said they don't want to use those weapons. That's exactly what Dr. Shiva said. Remember Dr. Shiva when he was on, he goes, look, they just want you to know that they have them so that they can scare you because they don't want to engage in a battle because somebody's going to have to if you're going to execute a war, somebody has to be the leader of that war.
Yep.
And the leader of that war, once the people recognize it's not a just war, will fight back against the leader and the people that surrounded that leader. So they don't want that. What they want is to convince you that this is the way society is going to move, whether you like it or not. Look at the AI data centers, just as an example. You know, because some of these things are right before COVID, right in your face. Anybody who wants to know, who will admit to themselves that they may have gotten it wrong, recognizes these cons. But what's going on in the heads of millions of people in this country, the vast majority, in my opinion, is that there's nothing they can do about it. I ask anybody who listens to the show, when you start talking about these things, how many of your friends go, I mean, what's on the Masked Singer tonight? There's nothing we can do about that. Why are you wasting your time? There's nothing we can do. Don't you realize there's nothing we can do? How many people say that in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Right? People you love, people that are really smart, people that seem to have great lives. I have a lot of very wealthy friends in my life, Isaiah, come from the shoe business, where a lot of the people that were, came through the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s made a boatload of money I just know some wealthy people from being, in life in general. They don't care about these things. Why? Because they want to enjoy their life. They have the money.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go enjoy their lives. They're going to get on in their beautiful cars, and they're going to stay in their big houses, and they're going to take their vacations, and they're not going to think about things that would advance society. They're going to enjoy their lives as best they can so long as they are on this earth. And they think people like Isaiah and I and the people that listen to the show, they think we're stupid for even trying to make a better future for our kids and grandkids. They see us as dopey, moronic boobs for even recognizing that we have to wake up the American citizen in order to have a future that is worth living in our own families. And they see
I wonder
us
how many of these people know who John McAfee is, or if they even know his story or anything about him.
John McAfee claims that he had security protection on the computers, Isaiah, and then sold them to the government, and then got all of their secrets. He goes, it was that simple. You got to remember, there's a time when you got to remember, politicians go into government. They're being misled by the deep state to begin with, by the bureaucrats and the intelligence agencies. And then they start buying technologies, start buying software programs. The intelligence agencies, the media companies, they all start using these systems that can be hacked by the people that built them without their knowledge. And then all of a sudden, all the information that you thought was secure within your government is not secure anymore. And then foreign actors, whether it be Israel or China or Venezuela or Iceland or Canada or Mexico or anybody who understood the systems, would have access to them through espionage. And isn't that what's happening, don't you think? Global intelligence operations. You know it's a global intelligence operation because if you listen to this show long enough, you know that COVID was a con. And if COVID was a con, then how can every Western civilization, every Western state, every Western country fall right in line with it and sell the same script? Unless it was organized. I'm going to find a clip for you, Isaiah. I want to finish with this because I love J. Edward Griffin. And if you're listening and not watching, what he's doing is you're hearing him talk, and then you're seeing examples on your screen. All right, finish this. It's a little bit long, but this is G. Edward Griffin, who I think is brilliant. Go ahead.
With these weapons, and they like to think, well, by golly, we will if we have to.
The president just posted this evening, a couple of moments ago, actually, on Truth Social, where he is talking up U.S. nuclear weapons in a new social media post. He said that because of other countries' nuclear testing, that he has, quote, instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis.
It gives them a tremendous power advantage, but that power is psychological power. It's psychological power. And so people don't, they think it's too late. They think, how can you possibly win? I'll be mutilated, I'll be destroyed. And you see men come back from the battlefield in a real war in the past. They're courageous men. They've got medals on their chests, and they stood against the enemy, against rapid fire. They've taken prisoners. Maybe you know the stories. One little guy comes back with 20 prisoners behind him or in front of him with the point of a gun. And these guys are heroes. They're very courageous and brave. That's when they're in an army and they have the camaraderie and the support of their fellow fighters on their right and on their left. And they're a team and they're patriotic and they get medals on their chests and everything. And they go home and they're heroes. In this warfare, your enemy could be your next door neighbor.
The red states, Florida's started, no more vaccine mandates. Well, your supporters are just going to die off.
The guy that comes to your door to break it down, say, into the truck, could be the son of your neighbor.
You're not even wearing your mask right.
It could even be your cousin. The enemy is within us today. It's not an enemy from another country.
They're just approaching people because here they show up, they have no warrant in their hand, they barricade a law-abiding citizen who served our country. His dad's literally wearing a t-shirt that says Navy Dad, and they pull guns and put guns in their faces.
They'd like to make us think it's still that kind of a warfare. We're worried about the ships over there in Hormuz, and we're worried about in all these countries, these bad countries, China.
We could see it. You could feel it. The Communist Chinese want to control politicians. They're building infrastructure projects. They want to surveil. They want to take that canal.
And Israel and Cuba at our doorstep, and Russia and all these countries out there. No. The enemy is within our own country. And they have high positions in our own government.
Over 200 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
And that's what they don't want us to see. They want us to say, unite behind our military. We send our boys into battle, and the kids are courageous, just like I thought I was when I went in the military. I had no idea what I'm talking about now. At that time, I had no idea. I thought I was serving my country. I didn't know I was serving the hidden agendas of some very powerful people. Anyway, now the question, can we educate people quickly enough to organize a true revolution and a true understanding of the weapons and the strategy and the tactics of warfare? And my answer is yes, yes, and yes. But we're running out of bloody time to do it. And I mean, we don't have a lot of time. But the question is, do we have enough time if we really got serious? And the answer is, in my view, easy. If we got serious, I think it's time to get serious about this. I don't know if somebody asked me, well, how many years or months or days do we have? I haven't the foggiest idea. All I know is that we could do it now. So what are we waiting for? Why do we worry about how many days? We're just waiting to say, well, at that number, I quit. No, you got to have something in your mind. You never quit. You never quit. And that's the only way we can build a true revolution of the mind, a revolution of the spirit, and a revolution for human liberty and survival, really.
Isn't that great? You know much about him, Isaiah? Do you know much about G. Edward?
No.
My friend Jeffrey Wilson interviewed him. He is a legend in this type of. He's the one that wrote the Creature from Jekyll Island.
Oh, that's right. I do know that book.
He's the one that talked about communism back in the 60s and how they would couch it in certain language. He was right about that. He had Yuri Bezmenov in the 80s, and he would do television interviews with Yuri Bezmenov, who was a Marxist, who said, when you're infiltrated from within. Now, he's talking about communism. But he's saying these are the tactics that they use when they infiltrate you from within. He said, the people that are brainwashed, the boot of the state will be on their neck before they ever realize they had been brainwashed. There is no, he said, once they have sufficiently been brainwashed, there is nothing you can do whatsoever to take them out of that brainwashing. And I got to tell you, as somebody who thought this would be easy, that turns out to be true. That turns out to be absolutely true. It is one thing that's given me a little bit of peace, because there was a long time there, Isaiah, when I was doing the podcast originally, when it would just make my stomach sick. My heart would hurt. I'm like, what am I not doing right? I always thought I had some, I was decent at communications. What I studied, I like communication. And I thought I could sell the idea if I gave people facts and information they could check for themselves. I would play it on the podcast. I would spell it out for them, nice and simple. Wait a minute. Where's my ABC? Get that one more time, Isaiah. Here we go. ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3. I thought I could do ABC easy as 1, 2, 3, and people go, "Oh, Robb's right." They did talk about putting masks on people, and they did talk about mandatory vaccinations long ago, and they talked about it through the Rockefeller Foundation and paperwork that they put out called Operation Lockstep. They did talk about this years ago, and now it's happening exactly as the way they described it. Now that people know that, surely they're not going to fall in line with this. Isaiah, they couldn't do it. They could not do it. It was not possible for them to think logically. Now, I'm talking about some of the brightest people in my life could not figure out that COVID was a con job. They could not piece it together. And I'm fascinated to this day. I'm fascinated by it because I want to know, what is the technique to hijack the logical mind out of a human being? Because it can be done. Obviously, it can be done. 70% of American citizens went out and got a needle stuck in their arm by an administration that won the election by saying they were going to kill the deep state. And then the deep state came into their administration and they rolled up their sleeves and took a vaccination, a genetic therapy, of which they had no understanding of whatsoever. It just doesn't make any sense. The only thing that can make any sense is MK Ultra. The ability to take somebody's mind away from them. Let's move to clip number 3, MK Ultra. Okay. Have you seen the Netflix documentary called Wormwood? I think it's called Wormwood.
Maybe. Sounds very familiar. I've watched a lot of things on MK Ultra.
Wormwood is a documentary, and they talk about it on this. Here's what's funny about what's going on. And again, these are distractions, in my opinion. What they're talking about with MK Ultra, and this is Anna Paulina Luna, who, as Dr. Shiva said, she's just another CIA agent. That's what Dr. Shiva said. She's just another CIA agent, Anna Paulina Luna, who is Jewish, but took the name Anna Paulina Luna when she was doing her Maxim bikini shoots. I guess because Finkelstein didn't sound as sexy as Luna, right? I'm guessing. I don't know, but that's what I'm guessing. So she is the one that's the leader of the MK Ultra experiments. If that makes any sense to you, why she would be the person that's behind this, I'll let you figure that out. MK Ultra, Wormwood is on Netflix. You can check it out, and that's what they reference in this particular bit of testimony before Anna Paulina's investigative committee in the House of Representatives. Here's just a little piece of it. Clip number 3, Isaiah.
Some of the worst abuses in MK Ultra.
There were many. The Frank Olson case, which was referenced earlier, that was a murder. I don't believe that was a suicide. And the motivation was because he was going to be a whistleblower. He worked at the CIA. He worked in the development of biological weapons, and he was planning to go public and announce that the United States government was using biological weapons in the Korean War. And also, he was going to share what he knew about MK-Ultra experiments, including lethal experiments. And there's a documented case.
How many, gentlemen, how many people do you think died through the MK-Ultra program or were murdered?
No idea.
If those who died largely were outside the United States, many people were experimented to death in that safe house in Germany that I visited. And people in the neighborhood told me they knew what was going on in that house, and that people who were experimented to death are now buried in what used to be forest plots that are now covered over with
Do you think the
apartments.
German government knew what the U.S. government was doing? Do you think there was a partnership there or knowledge?
Yes. There is a memo that was written by the German Secret Service to Konrad Adenauer, the Chancellor of Germany, telling him Americans are here capturing citizens, capturing people and conducting extreme experiments which are in violation of German law. And Adenauer decided to put that aside and not to investigate.
I have one more
further.
question because I have 15 seconds. Is this a massive cover-up by the U.S. government?
It's certainly a cover-up of what happened in the past.
Mr. O'Neill?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
People being thrown out of windows is not something new to U.S. government. Actually, I covered this with another case. The CIA is even on record saying that one of the best ways to make people disappear and get away with it is just by simply throwing them out of a window. Now, this particular MK-Ultra experiment with CIA whistleblower, he was thrown out of a window, and there is actually a Y-Files. I don't know if you guys know the Y-Files, but there's an entire episode on this guy, his story, and what happened. And the episode is called CIA Murder That Exposed MK-Ultra. I'll play you just the intro.
November 28th, 1953, New York City. At 2:30 a.m., the body hit the sidewalk. A few seconds later, a shower of glass. The doorman of the Statler Hotel yelled to the lobby that there was a jumper. The night manager rushed out and saw him. A man about 40 years old lying on the pavement. He was on his back wearing only his underwear, and blood started to pool around him. 13 stories up, a single window is open, its curtain flapping through broken glass. The night manager knelt beside the man, whose eyes were open and was somehow still alive. He desperately tried to speak, but was choking on blood and couldn't be understood. After a minute or two of trying to communicate, the man took a final deep breath and was gone. Nobody knows for sure what he was trying to say before he died. But one thing is for certain, it was something about the CIA.
Now, of course, this is about the CIA experiments, and the whistleblower's name is right at the end of
Room
this.
1018A was registered to Robert Lashbrook and Frank Olson. The police burst in, guns raised, but it was empty. Cold November air was blowing through the broken window. In the bathroom was a man sitting on the toilet, resting his head in his hands. He told the police he'd been sleeping, heard a noise, and woke up. One officer asked the name of the man who went out the window. The man in the bathroom said, Olson, Frank Olson. The response...
And that's the CIA
good, Isaiah.
whistleblower who was dosed with LSD.
That's the Wormwood documentary, right? They talk about this guy jumping out of a hotel, was working with the CIA, had information they did not want him to release, and he decided he could fly, and found out when he hit the ground that flying was not an option, and he landed like a brick right on the street and dead. The hotels didn't have 13 floors. I think they don't have any more. You shut off, Isaiah? What do you think?
Very interesting. I'm gonna have to watch that. I don't know if I've seen it. Maybe I have. I've seen so many documentaries that it's hard to remember. Once I start watching them about 30 minutes into one, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen this before.
I think you would know it, and if you'd seen it. And then I got to play this. I just sent you I want people to see this because we're talking about.
I got a video I want to show you too, and want to see your reaction. It's kind of a funny video too.
I like funny. The funny one you had on Friday was really good. I like that. With that comedian, that was good.
Yeah.
But I want to play this because people that are long time listeners of the show are going to remember this. We talked about it in the original podcast. It's the Barney Miller Show, Isaiah. It was very popular back in the 70s and 80s. He was a police police chief, I think, and they would have these people come into the police station, and it was the whole story about the police station. And one of their shows, they talked about the Trilateral Commission. This is the reason. Now, if you think of Trilateral Commission as the World Economic Forum, okay, think of Trilateral Commission equals World Economic Forum. I think one of the reasons that society is not able to pick up on what seems to be relatively obvious clues that the world is working together, not against each other. We all think that everybody's the enemy, as G. Edward Griffin was trying to explain, and the enemy is right here. The enemy is inside the boundaries of America right now. The enemy is the one that wants to stick needles in your arm by mandate. The enemy is the one that says we as a government should be able to propagandize our own citizens. The enemy is the one who left your borders wide open. The enemy is the one that have your children's convinced that they're boys when they're girls or girls when they're boys, and they need to dress accordingly, and can also convince them that they're cats and they need a litter box in the girls' bathroom. Okay. That is the enemy. That's not Iran. It's not Iran. Got to remember, it's not Iran that turned your child into a cat. Okay, that didn't happen. That was not Iran that did that. That was not Russia. That was not China. That was the American left, and it was fostered by the American right. I mean, the leader of the Speaker of the House in Missouri right now put a sunset clause on transgenderism for children in Missouri. The Republican Speaker of the House, one of the most powerful people in the state of Missouri, put a sunset clause on transgenderism for children. John Patterson, in all of his brilliance, because he's a doctor, in his mind could not figure out that it's probably not a good thing to talk a 12-year-old into changing their sex because mom and dad are insane and they think that the boy needs to be a girl or the girl needs to be a boy. John Patterson, in all of his brilliance, because he's incredibly smart, you can just ask the Republican Party how brilliant he is and what a great guy he is. He could not figure out that that was an evil thing to do. He just couldn't quite get there, if you understand what I'm saying. That is John Patterson, the Speaker of the House in the Republican Party in the state of Missouri. That's the same guy, Speaker Patterson, who said that if you did not get your COVID genetic therapies, that you should not be eligible for transplant surgery, which ultimately means you're going to die. That was John Patterson, the Speaker of the House in the Republican Party, the one that they chose to be their leader. He could not put it together. John Patterson couldn't figure it out. And the reason people don't figure it out in the state of Missouri or around the world is because it is a global. What do you think a new world order means, Isaiah? Is that globalism? It's globalism. That means that the people in Russia and Ukraine and Israel and the United States and China and Taiwan and Venezuela, they're all oligarchs behind the scenes putting on this puppet theater for you to watch. When in
One world order.
They're all working together. Don't think of the America as a nation state. You should say, which oligarchical family is running America and who are they tied to in China? Who are they tied to in Venezuela? Who are they tied to in Canada? Who are they tied to in Japan? Who are they tied to? How does the system globally work? And it doesn't necessarily even matter so long as we take care of our system, but nobody wants to do that because they can't quite figure out what is happening. This is from Barney Miller, talking about the Trilateral Commission. Brzezinski, his daughter, is on with Joe Scarborough on MSNBC. So what he's describing was put together. So what you're going to hear here on this particular, it's a sitcom, Isaiah, about the Trilateral Commission on Barney Miller. And what they're describing with the Trilateral Commission was put together by the father of a morning show television host on MSNBC by the name of Mika Brzezinski, and she's married to a supposed Republican from Florida who had an assistant die in his office when he was supposed to be there to meet a constituent but didn't show up. And then Michael Moore, the famed documentarian from the left, had a website called Joe Scarborough is a Murderer. And yet Joe Scarborough still does the morning show with Mika Brzezinski, whose father was the originator of the Trilateral Commission. Isaiah, ABC easy as 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here it is. Barney Miller talking about the Trilateral Commission in the early 70s. What was it? What is it? Check this out.
They're the ones you should be arresting, not me.
Why didn't you say that before?
What do we got here?
Cam, this is William Klein. He was wrecking an office.
But I just wanted to meet them face to face. I wanted them to admit what they were doing.
Who is they? He was in the office of the Trilateral Commission.
Trilateral Commission?
Yeah, the Trilateral Commission.
All right, what is the Trilateral Commission?
It's an organization founded in 1973 by David Rockefeller to bring together business and political leaders from the United States, Europe, Japan, so they could work together for better economic and political cooperation between their nations.
But that's what they'd like us to believe. But you see, what they're really up to is a scheme to plant their own loyal members in positions of power in this country, to work to erase national boundaries and create an international community, and in time, bring about a one world government with David Rockefeller calling the shots.
I take it they're pressing charges?
Yeah, well, he broke a globe and some UNICEF artwork.
Well, they're in on it too.
Okay, Mr. Klein, if you just...
I'm telling you, our whole way of life as we know it is in jeopardy.
I appreciate that information.
But I have the documented evidence. It's all in there. Show him.
Well, he's got these magazines here.
Conspiracy Review? Suppressed Truth Roundup?
The whole master plan is exposed.
Yeah, well,
You're still not convinced, huh? Would you like to hear the names of just a few of the people who have been on the Trilateral Commission?
Not particularly.
James Earl Carter. Heard of him?
Look, Mr. Klein...
Henry Kissinger. You heard of him? Walter Mondale.
Who? Mr. Klein, this is
John Anderson, George Bush. Now, you remember at the convention, everybody thought it was going to be Ford for Veep. You know what happened? David Rockefeller just picked up a phone, put in a call. Hey, Ronnie, forget Jerry, it's George. Bye. So, no matter who won in November, they had their man in the White House.
And every time I hear that, I just keep thinking, it's that simple. And what do they do on the television show, right? Because this was a corporate television network at the time. They make the guy talking about it out to be the lunatic person who's the crazy
the conspiracy review.
Review, and you give the eye roll and the whole thing. But it appears to me that if you fast forward from that particular show in the 80s with Barney Miller to the World Economic Forum, and then when you pan the crowd at the World Economic Forum, what you're going to see are the corporate oligarchs from every country on the planet working together. And if they're working together in business, and business is the one that's controlling the scene in a corporatized world, then why would you think that anything else you see is not orchestrated in advance for you? And, I know people aren't going to see it. I'm wasting my breath. People listening to this show will understand it, but you can't get the masses to get that far down the line. There's just no way that I can come up with. So you got to do it like you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. We take care of Missouri. Missouri becomes a shining beacon for, I don't want to even say conservative thought, but libertarian thought, that you have freedom to speak. You have freedom
American thought.
American thought. Exactly, Isaiah. Thank you very much. We both got American flags up today.
Yeah.
What's your video? I'm curious how many people have seen that, by the way. I'm curious how many people have watched the show, have seen that Barney Miller episode, because that's a classic.
I'm going to go find. I was really captivated by it. I was like, oh man, I got to watch this episode now, because now I'm so curious to what else unfolded and what happened before. And I don't know that actor's name, the guy who was playing the conspiracy theorist, right?
Famous actor.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but very, very famous actor. He's been in a lot of movies. Yeah, I know we always talk about like news narratives and, fear, false evidence appearing real.
Yep.
And then I don't know if anyone's ever heard the term. You may have heard the term, Rob, just from sales, like throwing FUD, right? You throw fear, uncertainty, and doubt so that the customer that you're trying to sell, they don't have any, any certainty, right? And they have to believe you because you've sown enough fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And so they don't believe themselves. And now they believe you as the expert, right? And so all these things are always thrown at us. And we get the Fox News red alerts, the breaking news reports, and all these things. Well, there were some comedians talking about the different news channels. And this is a video of him just flipping through different news channels. And then the final one is the Indian news channel. And so this is a comedic take at this, but I thought that you would think this is funny, and it gives some good information too at the same time. So
let's check it out.
Yeah.
BBC. Okay, here's CNN.
What they have made clear is that anyone eating
Here's Al Jazeera. And then here comes Indian. I don't know the name of the network, but here it is. Look at the animation. Look at the jets.
It just says
the
jets war and fire.
the fucking jets. And the guys with a straight face with these jets going by.
And by the way, the best head of hair ever in the newsroom. And there's war room.
Yeah, no, it's insane. And it goes like that all day. That's their news.
That's the ticker.
And the music is like, dun, 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 and it's crazy. Yes, that's where.
Wow.
So when you watch war news on CNN or whatever, they want to do this.
They do.
Like, they get as close as they can. Like, bum, ba, bum, bum.
Yeah.
But these guys are like, why would you stop? Yeah. Jets. Look at the explosions and like insane. No, it's beautiful. And no, so keep playing it. So all day on the news, it's these talking heads, and you're not sure which one. And like all the stories are done like this.
But isn't it funny how this is exactly like getting around in Mumbai? It's chaos.
Yes, it is. It's constant.
Visual and audio overload. It's constant. Different
Yep.
people. How do you concentrate on this? And this guy's having a conversation. He's holding a stick in his hand.
Yeah.
Very interesting. It is.
But like you said, it's exactly like what they want to do.
And it's global.
Yep. And so I found that was, I know they were just making fun because the Indian was crazy, right?
Yeah, fire
So
and that whole thing going on. In
it's
the
like,
back.
whoa. But when you take it through those channels as he's flipping, you're like, oh, wait, we're doing the same thing.
We do the exact same thing.
We might not have the jets flying through and the fire, but it's close enough.
We do the exact same thing here. It is sad but true. Can we do just a little bit before we leave? Because we have a few minutes left, and I want to get a couple of these in. I'm becoming a big fan of Jim Breuer. Jim Breuer is a comedian. He used to be on Saturday Night Live. He played Goat Boy on Saturday Night Live. I saw him live at an event called the Reawaken America Tour. He was the best part of the entire thing. Now, at the Reawaken America Tour, it was Kash Patel we met that day. This was Michael Flynn was there that day. Laura Logan was there that day. These are all people that were in the tank for Donald Trump going into 2024. Okay, Isaiah, this is who the people were. They were heavily supportive of Donald Trump, and he performed that day. He seems to have changed his opinion just a little bit, and he now sees it through our lens. We should be skeptical of Donald Trump like all politicians. We should not be trusting people we don't know that are going to determine the future in this country. We should look at them through a skeptical lens. We're not saying we're against Donald Trump or for him. We're just saying as journalists, when he does things that don't make any sense, we would like a journalist to ask questions about what is your tie to Peter Thiel? Is it odd, Mr. Trump, that Peter Thiel, the guy behind Palantir that was funded by the CIA, also funded you and J.D. Vance? What do you have to say about your critics that say it looks like the CIA is also funding you? What do you have to say about your comment about Marco Rubio being a puppet for Miriam Adelson, and then she gives you $300 million and you're doing what you railed against when you were running in 2016? What do you have to say about that, Donald Trump? Any kind of question that an average journalist from 50 years ago would ask a president is completely off the reservation. Now, if you ask that question, you're an enemy of the state because you're just a left-wing lunatic and you're trying to make Donald Trump look bad. We can't ask him any difficult questions because a difficult question might expose the truth, and we cannot expose the truth because we have to stay in the illusion that Donald Trump is playing 7D chess, and if he is or isn't, we don't know that.
Yeah, if you ask the wrong question, he might stand up and walk off the interview.
He's done that a couple times, right? That all looked fake to me too, but anyway. All right, let's go to Jim Breuer. You are a slave to the system that you have been raised in. All right. Listen very closely to what he thinks. He's trying to kind of shatter your understanding of things and make you go, wait a minute, I'm going to break this to rebuild it together. But when I rebuild it, I'm going to do it around critical thinking and not indoctrinated thought. You should be a critical thinker. Everything you think you should know, you should go, do I really know that? If you're somebody who is philosophical at heart, Isaiah, if you're just somebody who wants to get along, and you think you got one life to live and this is it, and you really don't care what happens to your kids or grandkids, let them burn in hell. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? As long as my life is good, then everything will be fine. If you're one of those people, you're probably not watching the show anyway. But if you're somebody that does care about your kids and grandkids, that know that when you leave, they're going to have to adopt this earth, and are you going to do anything to make it better? That's kind of where Isaiah and I are coming from. We want more people involved in that particular frame of thought. But here we go. This is Jim Breuer talking about you being a slave to the system because it's all that you know. Clip number 14, Isaiah.
enslaved to this system. Oh, you want to drink? Pay. But I'm thirsty. Pay. Oh, you're sick? Gotta pay. No, but in this society, they would help each other. Well, you're not in it. You gotta pay. I have the cure. You gotta pay for the cure. That's a sick, demonic thought process. You gotta pay. Everything you gotta pay. You want to drink? You need water? You need food? You gotta pay. And meanwhile, they're all billionaires. But hey, let's just complain and let's just say that's not right. Hence, you're the slave because you ain't doing nothing about it but complaining.
By design.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the by design, you complain. You have your ability to complain, but you don't organize to do anything about it. That is why, again, I beg of everybody, peopleslobbymo.com, actformo.com or .org, actformo.org, peopleslobbymo.com. Either one, just get involved. I mean, Mike Compton has a book out, How to Be a Good Citizen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun. I think the things that are entertaining, that's why I don't really, I think I've probably read 5 fiction books in my entire life, Isaiah, since I was a kid. When I was a kid, I read them all the time. But as an adult, maybe 5 fiction books. I only read nonfiction. When we're going through stories on television with my wife and I usually don't want to watch it unless it's based on a true story. I just think real life is the most interesting thing for intelligent people to pay attention to versus some made up garble and nonsense and fantasy and this and that and the other. I want to know what's going on in the real world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Or I like watching the things that I think, oh, we could become this one day. You know,
Hell,
like this apocalyptic scene or something like that, right?
Future real life.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, now here he talks about the CEOs being monsters, right? And he talks about the people. Here is what is wrong with America in a nutshell, Isaiah. In a nutshell. Well, there's many things, but this is one of the things that you can put into that nutshell. We see wealth as awesome. Doesn't matter how you got the wealth. We see it as awesome. If you are a billionaire, in the minds of the plebes, they think billionaire means freaking awesome. Elon Musk, awesome.
First trillionaire,
awesome. Donald Trump, awesome. Billionaires are awesome, right? You never ask yourself what it would take to be Isaiah. This is the honest to God's truth. If I was an evil person, I would have $1 billion in the bank. Because I've been in a position to take that next step. I just can't be a slimy scumbag not caring about another person. I can't do it because I see the world as being bigger than how much money that I have. And I always did.
I had a youth pastor tell me one time when I think it was 17 years old. And he came up to me just in a one-on-one conversation, pulled me aside, and he goes, Isaiah, I want you to know that if you use your powers for evil, you could do really big things. And he said, he goes, I'm so glad that you're here. He said, everything that you do, he said, God's got a plan for your life. And he spoke this into me. It was really powerful. But that moment sticks out to me for my entire life. That was, half a lifetime ago.
And I don't know where it came from with me, Isaiah. I really don't. My mom was awesome. My mom did not care how much money I had. That was never a thing for her. My father was a little bit more raised poor, wanted to have, it was until he got sober. I think he wanted to chase that money around. And I did for a little bit. I chased it around, but I did it more for my family. For me, it was, for me, success meant that I could make sure that my wife had a big home, make sure my kids could go to whatever schools they wanted to, make sure we had cars, make sure we had food, make sure we didn't have to worry about anything. But it was never, I think I've said it a million times. Every one of my kids had a new car, and I was driving a 2006 gold Acura that had 140,000 miles that I bought for $6,900, and I thought it was the greatest car in the world. My wife goes, "Why? Don't park that in the driveway. What are our neighbors going to think?" This is the kind of situation I was involved in, right? But it was never about attaining a lot of money. I just never saw that as the end goal. And as I got older and more wise, I started to recognize that what really matters to me is the relationships I have with people that I love. That is the most important thing to me, period, end of sentence. Nothing else even comes close.
Mm-hmm. What do people say on their deathbed? What's the number one thing that people say they regret when they get to their deathbed?
Time with their family, right? And that's where I come from. I get it now. I didn't for the longest time, but as you get older and the window starts to close a little bit, you start to see things through a different lens. For me, and everybody wants to make a nice living, Isaiah, I'm not different than anybody else. I'm not saying that I'm some nut that is living on the street in a cardboard box because I don't care about money. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it is not the motivator anymore.
Yeah.
And I think when you focus as money as your motivator, you miss all of the things that make life beautiful. And I understand that now. So when I make decisions, when we're doing radio or we're doing podcasting or we're doing television or we're going to DC or we're going to Jefferson City, we are now doing that as, in our minds at least, we're doing that as a benefit to the people that we love. We see that not everybody can do it. Everybody's not in the position to do it. Some people just can't do it. And we look at it and say, well, we have the ability to do it. We have the communication schools. We now have the equipment thanks to our advertisers. We can now put on a product that will guide this country in the right direction. And we're going to do as best we can to do it. Fair enough, Isaiah? Would you agree that
Fair enough.
Get it? When we talk privately, is that not what we're talking about? Yes.
That's it. Trying to plan our DC trip still for this month.
I was looking at that this morning. As a matter of fact.
And just to bring it biblical, it's money is not evil. That's what I hear a lot of times.
Right.
Money is not evil. That's what people get wrong. That's not what the Bible says. The Bible does not say money is evil. If money was evil, then God would not have, had such a great relationship with King Solomon, right? He's the richest man in the world. He had, he's gold everything. He's got how many concubines and all
have a
this
gold
stuff,
toilet.
right?
Do you have a gold toilet?
Yeah, probably. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Everybody should have a gold toilet at one point in their life.
Yeah. And so it's not that money is evil, and that's where people get it twisted. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. Even the love of money is not necessarily the evil. It's the root of the evil that comes, right? And so it's like these billionaires and now trillionaire, right? With Elon Musk, it's exactly like you're saying, is that it's the nefarious intent that they have with, I have this power, I have this control. Then you get the pedophilia mixed in there. You have this power, control, pedophilia. It all comes together when you really step back and take a look, because, the reason people prey on children is because of power and control, right? That's the reason when you go and watch these documentaries and they're going into their brain and asking the questions, studying them, it's because they want to have power and control. And it's the same thing with society, with the oligarchs. All they want is just to have that power and control. Over
Ted Bundy wanted to be a politician up in Washington State. Did you know that? Ted
Really?
Bundy? Well, yeah, he was in the Republican Party.
Oh my gosh, I'm not surprised.
I used to talk about this all the time. The psychopaths and sociopaths, they gravitate toward politics. They gravitate towards government because government has, but they gravitate toward being a police officer. They gravitate to positions where power is the game. And if they can get the power, then that's what makes them happy, because they're addicted to power, because generally speaking, people that are addicted to power are evil. And evil people find themselves in positions of power because they don't care of the heads that they stepped on, and they don't care what practices they had to use to get to that particular position. And that's just a fact, Jack. All right, let's do this. CEOs are monsters. I want you to look at these people, and I want you to listen to Jim Brewer, who's starting to figure things out. I really like this guy. We've got to get him on the show. Sherry, we want him on the show. As Angie says, narcissist, of course.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. The CEOs are the monsters by Jim Brewer. Clip number 18.
These are the monsters of all this. They're the monsters. That's where you're going to find the devil. But yet they're never put out in the public eye. And they keep demoralizing more and more and desensitizing. Oh, go get pregnant. We'll just scoop the baby out. Don't worry about it. That's your right. Everything's a debate, and it's a sales pitch in a political forum. Since when is humanity political? I'll tell you, since we started trusting them to control our lives. So that's why we keep getting more demoralized.
Again, I agree. I'm right there with them.
Yeah.
I look at the billionaires, and I Jeff Bezos. It's funny because Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. Amazon bought a shoe business called Zappos out of Las Vegas at the time. And then I would see people that I knew taking pictures with Jeff Bezos, and they're like, "Oh, we met Jeff Bezos," and they're all slapping. I'm like, "Man, Jeff Bezos is such a fraud. How could you not see that Jeff Bezos is a fraud?" They don't care. They would not care, and I mean this sincerely, and these people might be listening to the show today because I have some friends in Vegas that still listen. They would not care if Jeff Bezos cut the heads off of babies and juggled them one-handed. They would think that was awesome because Jeff Bezos is a billionaire. And that's just the way it is. Some things will never change, Isaiah. That's just the way it is. In America, people see wealth as intoxicating. You know the story of Bob Crane by chance? Isaiah, do you know who Bob Crane is?
Sounds very familiar. Yeah.
Do any of our listeners know the story of Bob Crane? Wonder if they do. Bob Crane was, do you know the show Hogan's Heroes?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Bob Crane was Hogan on Hogan's Heroes. Bob Crane was married, and when he got the television show Hogan's Heroes, he became very popular. It was a popular television show. And then the girls started hitting on him. And he turns into a sex-crazed lunatic who's taking pictures and videos with his buddy the whole time. And what happened, you went from a family man who was like, leave it to Beaver, to powerful positions where women were throwing themselves at him. And all of a sudden he went from leave it to Beaver to a sex-crazed maniac, and eventually somebody killed him, probably slept with somebody's wife, and they killed him in his bed. They never got to the bottom of who killed him, and he died right there in his bed. Hogan's heroes, Bob Crane, right? This is what I mean about power. Power corrupts absolutely, does it not? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Here we go. And that is why we should not be so in love with these politicians and billionaires. They're not awesome. You know who's awesome, Isaiah? Awesome is the father that stays at home and raises his children and puts them through good schools, or puts them in homeschools. I guess homeschools now, right? Even if they put them in schools, and raises a happy, healthy family and keeps everybody together. That's what a great person does. That's what a great mother does. Instead, in our society, it's always about who's got the most money, and people throw themselves at the people with the most money. And I just think it's disgusting. I don't like it. I wish it would change about America. It needs to change. We need to change our culture before we can change some of the things that will make this country much, much better.
Something I learned from Dave Ramsey too is as fast as you can make the money, you can lose the money too. So, and then, who sticks around once the money's gone?
Right. Right.
If they're there just for the money, once the money's gone, where are they going to go?
And you certainly don't want to be around somebody who wants you for your money. That's for sure. Clip number 17. This is Jim Brewer talking about how the news and information was embedded in you from the time you were a toddler. That is why you can be trapped in a system and never even recognize the system, because it's all that you've ever known. You can't see the ills of the system. You can't see the evils of the system because you're trapped in it. Clip number 17, Jim Brewer.
Not underestimate a system that has been embedded in our entire existence since you were a baby. Did you not remember sitting and your parents staring at a screen and staring at the news every night? Did you not remember people reading newspapers nonstop with headlines? Go read a paper. They tell you how to think. This one wants this dead. These terrorists are this, and these evil. They want to paint the bad picture. They want to be, it's not me, I'm right, they're wrong. In a more deep, demonic, pure, evil, disgusting, malice, soulless way. That's exactly what politicians and our media does.
Just right. He's been right on the money. Little short clips too, 15, 30 seconds. He's been popping them out there lately, and I'm in pretty much agreement with everything that he's saying as well. So we're starting to have more and more people jump into the fold, Isaiah. We have more and more people starting to recognize what's going on in the world. I think it's a great thing. The Reawaken Tour. I saw Debbie Genus on there. She said that she went to him. The Reawaken Tour might be working. There are more and more people starting to at least think about some of the things that are going on in their world, at least contemplate them. And that is the first step, right? The first step is awareness. You got to be aware that you have a problem before you can solve it. And we have a problem going on in this country, and it is slowly but surely starting to take over. It's like a cancer. You don't feel it, you don't see it, you're not getting sick from it yet. Some of you are, but most people aren't getting
drip.
Sick. Slow drip, baby. Slow drip. What do you do at this time in Missouri? Every day but Monday? What do you do at lunchtime every day but Monday in Missouri?
I go to a landmark in Washington, Missouri.
Moe's Pizza, baby. Not open today, but open tomorrow. Moe's Pizza, a landmark in Washington, Missouri. As he likes to say, Rob, God owns the place. I just work here. If you have any kind of gathering out in Washington, Missouri, right? Birthday parties, political meetings, Bible studies, and the like, any kind of gathering with people, always think Moe's Pizza. It's hard to get on the schedule now. I think they're rocking and rolling out there at Moe's Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Great pizza and salad bar. $13, I think, is the cost to get all the pizza and salad you can jam down your throat, which I like to do on occasion. Great
all the
pizza.
breadsticks too. Oh my gosh, they're so
Great
good.
Breadsticks, and great people. Family environment, a landmark in Washington, Missouri. Any kind of gathering, it is Moe's Pizza at the corner of Grand and 5th Street. And always remember, no alcohol, family environment, any kind of gathering, it is Moe's Pizza in Washington, Missouri. Birthday parties, anniversaries, political meetings, or Bible studies, it is Moe's Pizza. Get there.
Someone said in one of the shows, I think it was on Friday or Thursday, they said that like Isaiah missed his calling as a game show host announcer. And, what's funny is when I was a kid, my aunt and uncle, who had raised me for a few years out of foster care before I was adopted, my uncle has the best radio announcer voice, the absolute best voice. And he would do it all the time. And I just thought it was fun. And we would watch The Price is Right. And
come on down.
Yeah. Come on down for your new car. And so I would just practice that over and over and over again. And
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. People would tell me my whole life, they're like, you need to be a radio announcer. You need to be a radio announcer. You need to be a radio
Here you are.
Yeah, and here I am, right?
And here
And
you are.
I actually worked with a guy who did voiceovers. Like, he's a famous voiceover actor. I worked in a production team with him at a church, and he was a news director at the time, and then did voice acting on the side. And he was so good. But he listened. He's like, Isaiah, you could do the same thing as me. You could just charge people $500 an hour and record a couple things. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not passionate about it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a fun like house party joke, or just hanging out at the bar or something, and it's funny to do with your friends. But it's not a passion of mine to announce things.
Exactly.
It's just a funny skill to develop. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. I do.
Yep.
I'm kind of, that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
What happened to me was I was in the shoe business. I never thought I'd leave, Isaiah. I absolutely loved it. I had thousands of friends in the shoe business. You're talking about 50 states, one of the biggest industries in the world, and had so many friends in it. And then it just got bought up by private equity. It's not as fun as it used to be. And I said, if I'm not going to, I'm too fun. I'm too old to not have fun anymore. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy doing this. It has become a lot of work, though, Isaiah. It has become.
Yeah, that's some of the problem I think with the younger generation is that they, I do agree you have to enjoy what you're doing and you have to be passionate about what you're doing. But I just noticed no one wants to work nowadays with especially younger people. Man,
Young people all talk about passive income. I hear that term all the time from young people. I made it through passive income, which means you didn't have to do anything to make the money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can do it, I guess, but I think
I don't know. That's just how skills are learned. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how I learned. Everything I have today is not from school. I mean, maybe some biblical knowledge, but I didn't go to school for business, didn't go for marketing, anything like this. I learned from doing it and practicing and just doing it for 10,000 hours, like they say, to become a master at it. And so, I don't know. It's funny to me when people they complain about money, never having anything, things are so expensive, and then they don't want to work. I don't get it.
They're going to have to work nowadays.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have to work.
UBI, though, universal basic income, they're trying to get us.
It's coming. I got to play this clip because I don't know what it is. It is the base of all the problems in the world, according to according to G. Edward Griffin. And I can't remember which one it is, so I have to see it before I go. Because it should have fit into everything. It's clip number 10. And mine says central bankers, the Fed, but I'm not sure what this is.
Oh, this is a great clip.
I didn't make note of it, but I want to play it. So again, the system that we're in, if you want to determine who are the good guys and the bad guys, in my opinion, Isaiah, this is how I look at it. The good guys want you to recognize that the power, whether you like it or don't, if you don't like it, the power is coming from the money printers.
Yeah.
That's where the power is derived, is from currency. If you can't buy or sell or live your life, then the person that controls the money is in charge of your life, right? So who are the money printers? It's the Federal Reserve. And who is the Federal Reserve? As a private banking organization. Why would America have a private third-party banking operation that nobody can talk about? Clip number 10, Isaiah.
Fed and all central banks. The second source of funding for the ruling elites, besides the money extorted from the public in the form of taxes, comes from the central banks. Central banks are allowed to create paper money out of thin air. This reduces the purchasing power of money and destroys the savings of average people. It does not and cannot make society as a whole richer, but it redistributes income and wealth within society. The earliest receiver of the newly created money, that is usually the ruling elites, are thereby made richer, and the later and latest receiver, that is the average citizen, are made poorer. The central bank's manipulation of interest rates is the cause of boom-bust cycles. The central bank permits the accumulation of ever greater public debt that is shifted as a burden onto unknown future taxpayers or is simply inflated away. And as a facilitator of public debt, the central banks are also the facilitators of wars. This monstrosity must end and be replaced by a system of free, competitive banking built on the foundation of a genuine commodity money such as gold and silver.
Now I remember what it said.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. I should have played that along with G. Edward Griffin. I had that laid out there, and I thought, you know what? That is the one thing. That's why I like Ron Paul, because Ron Paul talked about the Fed when he was in Congress, and he was relentless on it. I think everybody who pays attention to, if you're somebody who just goes, how does the system work, right? Where does it start? How does it work? How does the whole thing go down? Well, it starts with money, your ability to purchase things. And whoever has control of the money has control of society. And ours is a third-party banking system not tied to America. How can that possibly be? And how can citizens not know anything about it, pay any attention to it, and still watch these governments act as though they're going to save your life by giving you a little bit of a tax refund? At the same time, they can control interest rates by printing money and making your money worth less or more, depending on how they control it, and you have no say in it. It's just it's so bizarre to me. And I didn't recognize it to the last 3 or 4 years. So
Maybe we start the
years.
we could start the Federal Air and Water Company.
Yeah. Think about that, though. Think about it, Isaiah. That's actually a really good point. Just think if we were in control of all the air and water.
Yeah.
Would we have control over your lives? What if you just said, me and Isaiah are in control of all air and water, and you're going to have to pay us a tax if you want to breathe or drink?
Yep.
How powerful would we be? And why would America, a sovereign nation, turn over the power of money printing to a third-party operation? We're going to have this guy named Ben Murphy on. Ben was in the he was in here earlier. Where was Ben? You see him in there? I saw Ben in there. He made some comment earlier. I don't know where he went. But anyway, Ben is going to come on. There he is, right there. We're going to have Ben on the show because Ben is an advisor to, as I understand it, to one of the House reps on Bitcoin. And he sent me a text after the show on Thursday or Friday that we did on Bitcoin. And he said, well, you mentioned my name. You should at least allow me to respond. And I said, Ben, you're always welcome to come on. That is why I mentioned your name, because I want to get your opinion on it. And when we were going back and forth on text, I think we're saying the same things, but we're seeing it differently. I look at the people that are running the money and I want them gone out of my life. I want the people involved with the banking system, the Federal Reserve. I want them gone from anything that ever touches Rob Carter and his family ever again. I think they're the most evil people the planet has ever known. That's what I believe. So I want domestic money, which is what Hitler wanted, Isaiah, oddly enough. Did you know that? He wanted to break away from the central banks, and they didn't like that much.
So it made him popular.
I was gonna say he didn't turn into a crazy. I mean, he wasn't crazy when he was saying that. He was right on the money. Then he turned into a little bit crazy, or I don't know what happened as he got. Who knows? But when wanting to have your own money, which is what John F. Kennedy wanted, greenbacks wanted their own money. Seems like if you want to print your own money within your country, life doesn't work out so well for you, Isaiah. It's not a good thing. And that might be something we need to pay attention to, are the central banking. And we'll talk about that. We'll have future podcasts and shows about central banking, but that is the one evil that needs to be addressed. And it's the one thing that bothers me about the Trump administration is they continue to print money out of thin air. And if they were really looking out for you, they would bring your attention to the money printing and slow the whole thing down. They would not be passing the CARES Act and a $1.5 trillion military, because every time the central bankers print money, it's your money. Every time Trump wants a bigger military, it's your money. Every time Trump wants to bribe you with your own money to give you money for COVID, that is your money that you have to pay back through interest rates, through inflation. And until you see it at that level, until you see it in that context, then, you just want more and more money from the government. Why not? But ultimately, you got to pay for it. It makes life a little bit tighter. That's why, Isaiah, just think about this. In a quarter of a century, I bought my first home in 1999. So it was about 26 years ago, right? In 1999, which was 26 years ago. Does that seem like a long time? I guess it does to you because you're a young man, Isaiah, 33.
No, I mean, I was born in 92, so I remember 99.
It wasn't that long ago. I was able to buy a 4-bedroom home with a finished basement on the 14th hole of Winghaven Country Club as a 29-year-old man. And my home payment, which everybody thought was a lot at the time, was $1,680.
That's mine.
So a quarter of a century ago, I was able to buy a home on a private country club on the 14th hole at Winghaven, and my home payment was $1,680. I was able to raise my kids there, go play golf with the family, and it was basically affordable for anybody. And now, if you want to do something of that nature, both parents have to work, and they both have to make about $100,000 to $150,000 a year in order to have the same life. Whereas one person could do it 25 years ago. My wife didn't work. That's the land of America.
That's part of the plan.
And how do you think it's going to look 25 years from now, Isaiah? Your mother and father and child will have to work to have the same. And then 50 years from now, everybody in the family will have to work in order to keep the house. And then after that, you'll have no houses, you'll rent.
Yep.
Because that is the process that we're going through. You'll own nothing, Isaiah, and you'll like it.
You're going to be happy about it.
Yes.
You're going to like it.
Also remember that in 1980, which doesn't seem that long ago to me. I see Tessa in here, one of my favorite people, Tessa. In 1980, my uncle, who was a janitor, who worked the night shift at the YMCA, was a single provider for 2 kids and a wife, and we had cars and food and a great middle-class life with an uncle who took me in as a janitor at the YMCA, and we had a 3-bedroom home and a middle-class life. Boy, times are changing, Isaiah. Times they are changing. I say we start paying attention to how times are changing and maybe organize. Can I give one more plug, Isaiah, before we take off for the day?
Oh, yeah.
Please, please, please join the fight. peopleslobbymo.com. If you can't donate money, fine. Sign up. Sign up. We're going to have a great time as we start having events and we start organizing ourselves. You're going to meet like-minded people. It's going to change your life. We're going to make People's Lobby Mo along with act4mo.org, the 2 leading grassroots organizations in the state of Missouri that's going to change the outcome and the direction of politics in the state of Missouri. It's going to make your life better, easier, more affordable. It's going to make your homes and kids and streets safer. We're going to get the job done because we're not about whining for the next 25 years. We are in the results-oriented business because we come from business where talk is cheap. And if you don't get things done, you don't have a job very long. So we're going to get things done come hell or high water because we are right about the way we're perceiving things. And we're going to draw out everybody in politics to have this conversation with us so everybody can see it and begin to make changes to their lives. Isaiah, that was a great day.
Great day.
That was fun. Happy 250th anniversary, America. Hope everybody had a great weekend. We will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. sharp Central Daylight Time.
Don't be late.
Don't be late on the Rob Carter Show. Have a great day, everybody.
See you guys.